Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zach Cherry. With me, as always, is
I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart I knew that hell would not have him! Eddie of Edward is Truth.
and today we're talking about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, released October 13th, 1989. It is currently October 13th as we are recording this. So happy
Oh!
36th birthday.
What a beautiful happenstance.
A very beautiful happenstance. We did not plan that.
No,
For
it
most
was
of these, I don't even know
fate.
what the release date is. I mean, I guess most of these released in October, except for the weird
H2O.
Dimension. Yeah, those were like summertime movies. And I
Yeah,
think I think also Rob Zombie's released like at the end of August.
the second one for sure. I don't remember the
Yeah.
first one. I think the first one wasn't that like around December? I don't remember.
Like Halloween 1,
Rob
like
Zombie
1978.
Halloween
Oh,
one.
no, that was like in late August, maybe
Okay.
early
Why do I
September.
associate it with winter? Maybe it was just winter in my heart as I
Well,
wash
there's the
the.
scene in Halloween 2, Rob Zombie, isn't it like snowing
Oh yeah,
when the mom
100%.
goes to visit? Yeah, and there's the white horse. I feel like there's snow all throughout that movie. We're not
Well,
talking about that movie today. We're talking about a different movie.
it'll come up again though, because I have a reference.
Oh, well, that's always exciting.
Right?
So Halloween 5, this might be a very interesting episode because both Edward and I are just like unapologetically like bananas about this movie.
Yeah.
We're huge fans of it and defenders, and we'll defend it with each other's very lives.
Oh geez, I'm
Yeah.
gonna sacrifice your life to defend.
And vice versa.
Yes, we're just gonna be pushing each other
Into the
into the riot,
Yes, yes.
the
So
angry
if you're
villagers.
easily triggered, I recommend you stick around for the whole thing because
Yeah.
I think people like rage bait anyway.
Yeah, if you want to
Yeah,
rage at us, go for it.
yeah.
I don't care.
Um, what's your first experience with Halloween 5? And did you always love it, or was it something that grew over time?
That's a very interesting question. I think I had a much more complicated relationship with it after my first watch because I thought there were things that actually worked. And then I thought there were a lot of things where I'm just kind of like, well, I wouldn't have made that choice. Um, I think everybody experiences pretty much some level of disappointment with the handling of Jamie Lloyd, whether it's because they basically kind of Laurie Strode Halloween to her by taking her kind of out of, commission for about the
Mm.
first hour of the movie until she can speak, because she's not really an active force. She's just kind of like, immobilized and being tended to and protected, but also she has Donald Pleasance at her like every other scene. So so she's not really playing a part. Like the most active thing she does in the first hour, I think, is run down to the laundry room. But
You're like giving me this because I think one of the questions we asked in Halloween 2
yeah,
episode was, what would the movie have been like if there were more scenes with Loomis and Laurie? And I think
right.
that you just answered the question. It would just be him like at her hospital bed. Right, right.
Yeah. Why are you protecting him? More people are going to die, Laurie. Remember what he did to your friends? He stabbed. What he did to Annie? He stabbed her. But anyway,
It was like 2 hours earlier, but yeah.
she'll have like a Raggedy Ann doll like it with her in the hospital. Just pick it up and chuck it,
Oh,
like you.
he just like he hated shit in this movie. It was like everything disgusted him when he's like walking out of the clinic with Rachel and he's like playing with that
The
scarecrow thing or whatever, and he's
I
just
thought it
like,
was a bunny. I thought it was a bunny,
no, he
but who
has the
knows?
bunny. He has the
Oh,
bunny when
okay.
he's like sends
Oh, you mean
Billy
the scarecrow,
away.
the decoration out in the front with?
Yeah,
Okay, I caught up. I
he's
caught
just
up.
like playing with it, and I wonder if that was like Dominique Othenin Gerard's direction for him, like just play with play with
Yeah,
the scenery.
right.
Or Donald Pleasance is just like, I don't know what to do here. I'm just gonna fuck around with shit.
Yeah, I just hate Halloween, and I hate that I have to be surrounded by this decor year
Yeah.
after year after year. They shouldn't even be He's probably thinking the same thing the kids echo a little bit later about they shouldn't even be celebrating Halloween in this town anymore.
Which then becomes a plot point in Halloween 6.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
But yes.
oh no, go on.
Oh, but it's just to answer your question. So the first time I saw it, I remember feeling kind of like, okay, it's a mixed bag. Then I found out how much hate there was for it. And so I started to feel a little kind of like, the movie was dumb. I started to feel really protective against,
Mm,
that kind of point of view because I wasn't totally thumbs down. I thought there was a lot of really interesting stuff that was done with it. And
yeah.
some of it was very effective, and some of it was just interesting because it was dumb and because it was
Mm,
silly and because it made me laugh. And I like to laugh. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's watching this or listening to it. But
yeah.
I do remember the one thing before I saw it because I had seen the cover. I got my little physical media here with the
Nice.
original poster art of Jamie in her clown costume and the original first movie mask. And I didn't know what to make of it when I was a kid, or not a kid, I guess I was a teen by then, but I just remember seeing it and kind of thinking, I couldn't even make out if the kid was male or female or anything like that because all her long hair is swept back behind her. So I was just kind of like, who's this little alien child who's like invading like Michael's territory, in his little clown outfit? Because I hadn't seen four yet, so I didn't know what five was picking up off of. So I just wondered, like, oh, I guess he's gonna take revenge on some kid. That seems stupid. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, this actually. After I saw four, I was like, oh, okay. How about
Mm.
you? What was
Well, I
your?
mean, the key art first off is phenomenal. I think that's some of the best key art of the franchise outside of I think the one, two, and three. Like one and two, especially for those like pumpkin designs.
Mm-hmm.
Three, because I like the sort of like the silhouettes against the red sky and just like the way that the Halloween three is all metallic and goes into that
Yeah.
ghoulish looking face. But then this one is just like it's very classic, it's very simple, and I love
Mm-hmm.
the use of like just like how the knife sort of like becomes the clown costume or just like how
Sure.
it's like divided by color. Um, but it's what's interesting is that this is, for all intents and purposes, the key art for Halloween 4
Yeah.
visually.
Yeah.
And the key art for Halloween 4 could be like an alternate for Halloween 1978.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just funny how key art lies to us in this franchise a lot. But yeah, this is one that, because I saw all of them out of order. I think
Yeah.
originally the first one I ever saw was Halloween 6, which I wrongly thought was this Halloween 2. And
Mm.
then I saw 1978, then Halloween 4, I believe H2O then, because I had
Wow.
just come out in the theater, and then 2,
Mm-hmm.
which then I was just like, what? This is there was more of that night? And then this one, and then
Yeah.
I think 3 after that. But this one was hard to find, at least like in the video stores that I frequented. So when I finally did find it, like I saw the poster art, and I had seen the poster art before, like it kind of like clicked for me. I don't know if like my family had gone to a video store like years earlier, and I
Mm.
just like had seen they might have had a poster up for it, but it like I'm like that looks familiar and it looks spooky.
Mm.
But I rented it and I watched it, and it had that same effect for me that Halloween 2 did, where it's sort of like picking up exactly where one left off. And even though there's like a gap of a year, you're still getting like a continuation. And I'm like, oh wait, there's more. He crawled out of the mine shaft and they blew it up. So I was already like instantly hooked into it because I feel, you're watching something and you're like previously on Halloween. And it's just like,
Right,
oh
right, right.
great, like yeah, I want to, I feel like when movies do that, and I'm not saying that this is always like a good practice, but when it does that, it sort of allows you to like already be immersed in the story. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of time getting acclimated to new characters or like for instance if you were to put on Resurrection,
Hmm.
And it's just like, who are all these people? Like, why do
Right.
I care? What is the entertainment? What is happening here? You know, it's asking something from the audience. Whereas here,
Sure.
it's like the movie's already letting me know you can just relax. We've got you. Take a float down the lazy river and strap in for a ridiculously stupid time. Um, and I don't like, I knew that this movie was bad. That's the thing. It's just like watching, I'm like, this is a bad movie,
Mm.
but I didn't hate it. And I think that for the longest time, I just sort of, I don't really have them anymore, but like this would have been a guilty pleasure. You know, like I celebrate my pleasures.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing to feel guilty about for liking this movie, but probably years and years ago, that might have been the case.
Yeah.
So, you know, as time has gone by, it's just sort of like lifted to not the very top of my list, but very high up there, just
Yeah.
because like I just get such a kick out of this movie. I find it like immensely entertaining, where other movies, you know, might trade in for more like serious tone or, you know, trying to like intellectualize evil. Whereas this is just like it's just a bunch of crazy shit happening, and it's got a very interesting European vibe to it.
Yeah, and in addition to that, like there's great fun to be had because there is an either a soap opera or maybe even just kind of like a cheesy opera, operatic quality to its more, I guess, dramatic turns, if we can even call them that. It's not even drama, it's melodrama. Like, Tina,
Mhm.
Tina, I mean,
Mhm.
it's broad strokes that are always connected. Like Danielle Harris is absolutely phenomenal in this film, but the things they're asking her to do are oftentimes, hilarious in their ridiculousness. It's just kind of
Mhm.
like, this is the decision we're making for this character. This is the direction she's going
Yeah.
after everything we built in four. Okay. Thank
Well, I
God it's
mean,
still her playing it.
yeah, I mean, this is the time, like the late 80s, where sequel fatigue was really starting to set in, like amongst all the franchises. And I think this would have been of that year of like the big
Hmm.
three, the last to come out, if this is
Yeah.
an October release, because usually like the nightmares were more so like springtime and Friday the 13th summer.
Mm,
So I think, and it, you know, those movies were already kind of disappointing for mass audiences, like in
mm.
terms of like The Dream Child and Jason Takes Manhattan. So this was just sort of like another strike against slasher sequels in 1989.
Hmm.
Um, but it felt like a time where they were just swinging for the fences. It's just like we got to do anything, and especially like with where four ended, with that twist or cliffhanger, it probably seemed like to somebody, it might have even been Mustafa Kad, that's like we
Hmm.
have to outdo that. We have to like come up with like another big thing to finish this movie on, and you know, in walks the Man in Black.
Yes. To recalibrate the whole franchise for everybody, but
Yeah, for at least one more film,
for at least one more
until it
film.
gets recalibrated again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wipe the slate clean and completely start fresh. But no, there is a sense of the mad dash about this. Like it definitely doesn't feel like there was an overarching plan the entire time with the direction these stories were going to take. But I
Mhm.
don't necessarily need that if I'm having fun and laughing and clapping my hands at what I'm watching. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, shall we just get into some housekeeping before
Ki-
we get into the episode proper?
you keep a house, or
We
keep a
keep a
house,
flat.
keep a flat. There you go,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
apartment, pot
Yeah.
mint, as you Americans say.
Yes. What do Canadians say?
I don't know who we are anymore. Go on.
Yeah. Anyway, if you have been a fan of the Cherry Picker for a while, or if you are brand new, you can give back to the podcast by heading over to patreon.com/Zach Cherry, Zackcherry. ERRY. Yeah, I spelled that right. That is me. And if you are supporting, what you get is to be part of our live stream recordings. That is at the Freddy Krueger tier. So if you'll notice, we've got a whole bunch of lovely folk in here with us right now, commenting along with the ride and interjecting with the opinions because, there's probably going to be a lot of pushback in this one, especially. However, that is a perk of being part of the Patreon community. Also, every month we hand it over to you guys, and you get to nominate and vote upon what episode, movie, or topic we will discuss.
Hmm.
And right now, the nominations are open, so we don't know what the episode will be this month, but that is a perk
Woo.
of that. There's lots of other things, monthly reviews by myself. There's even video hangouts if you're interested in that.
Hey.
But yeah, check it out, and you're giving back, and what is keeping this engine running because it is a lot of work every week
Yes,
to
yes.
come back and do this. But I do want to shout out some top tier supporters. So thank you very much to my Michael Myers tier, Kyle Beard, Sam Levy, Ali Hamouche, Shane Allingham, Tim McKay, Horror Slut 95, Traj 125, Austin Hall, Kara Day, not Kara,
Yes.
Michael Boswell, DEFCON, and then thank you to the Ghost Faces, Eric Champney, Daniel Saturn, Stephanie Starbright, Baby Ghoul, Garrison Nichols, Craiglin, and Josh Burrow. So thank you very much to all of you and
Woohoo!
everyone supporting on Patreon. And
Yes.
yeah, feel free to head over and show a little support. So, do we have a premise?
We do, and I'll try to be Loomis for it, but I
Loomis.
can't be a Cockney Loomis. That's not. Okay, I've got to. Okay. 1 year after Michael Myers' return to Haddonfield, the shape rises again to murder his now mute niece and anyone else who stands in his path this Halloween 5. And the reason I didn't do a subtitle is because if you watch this movie in the credits, it's only Halloween 5. There is no
Yeah.
Revenge of Michael Myers subtitle
Yeah, I get
underneath it. So
that was just a
do with that what you will.
marketing thing, I
Yeah.
guess.
Also, if you're interested in, if you haven't watched it yet and you want to, or you just haven't seen it in a minute, you want to watch it again before you dive in with us, you can stream it off AMC Plus, aka Shutter, basically these days with
Shut
some
up.
add-ons,
Yeah.
with an active subscription, or for a single rental off your favorite streaming service, or just numerous releases of physical media on
Just buy
DVD,
it.
Blu-ray,
Yeah.
4K, Ultra HD Blu-ray combo things we got here. There's the huge box set that was Scream Factory, right?
If you already own the movie, buy it again because you're likely
Yes.
to with all the new bundled releases they come out with every couple of years.
I do have to say, I was bowled over by the resolution of the 4K for Halloween 4. Halloween 5 kind of looked the way I was expecting it to, so that was interesting. But there's tons of like bonuses on that. I haven't even covered all of this stuff
Mm.
on these two discs because the disc one has two commentaries and disc two has a bunch of shit. So so yeah, get it,
Uh,
get it, kids. Hop two on this one,
Hop
kids.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
So
right. So let's talk about some of the criticisms. Not necessarily ours,
okay.
maybe a little,
Oh.
but these are you already mentioned one of them of just like the thing that people hate of Jamie being mute throughout this
Mm-hmm.
entire movie. So that's something that, people like to, bring up as a point against this. The two biggest ones I hear
Mm-hmm.
are the mask
Yeah.
and the house.
Yep.
But other than that, there's the clown cops. They usually
Yes.
get, hammered home there.
Mm-hmm.
Killing off Rachel.
Yes, and keeping
Er,
Tina alive.
early on. Yeah, Tina in well, they don't keep Tina alive, but just Tina in
Yeah, yeah, but yeah.
general is like a huge uh thing for people.
Knock
And
on this movie,
yeah,
yes.
and
For-
I mean, and oddly enough, like I mean, it's mentioned, but like not as much as those other ones. But like the Man in Black,
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess I've heard other things just like overall like I guess it's weird to say this, but I've heard people criticize the overall tone, but I'd argue there isn't an overall consistent tone. Like even as it
Mm.
was there was the scene where Tina is unpacking with Sammy her plans to lose her virginity and everything like that. And she's like, "So do you want like what candles or whatever?" They intercut it with like little Jamie laying there like having another attack because she
She's got
sees
like the thing hooked up to her. Yeah.
yeah, she's got like little electrodes or something on her head. She's just, being measured, I guess, her pulse or her brainwaves, or God knows what they're doing to that girl in this movie. But I don't know, it's
Oh
funny
my gosh,
because,
this clinic needs to be shut down immediately. Like the malpractice of the like this doctor is about to give her a tracheotomy
yes,
for no like first of all, this is
well,
isn't
she's
this like a psych
convulsing.
isn't this like a psychiatric clinic? Like where do they have th this like equipment, this emergency operating room where they're gonna like slice open her throat?
Well, it's kept nice and broad because it's only called, first of all, it's the title of it when we're introduced to the location is just Children's Clinic, and then there's a sign that indicates Haddonfield Children's Clinic. That's all we know. So it's if they're
Mm,
children and they got problems, they go there. That's all I, and I was thinking it's oddly specific and yet so general.
yeah.
Like too feels too specific for a small little hollow like Haddonfield, but um
Look,
at the
this
same
town has everything.
it has two
They've got it.
hospitals.
They've got a community college, as we'll find out
Right.
later on in the
Have a
franchise.
farm community and yeah, a whole rural backyard in
Yeah.
addition to the suburban kind of like run-of-the-mill lifestyle, typical American lifestyle. And then oh God, what else do they have? They got everything.
Yeah.
Um and they got the Myers house. That's, which
Well,
is
at the Myers Mansion.
yeah, the Meyer in this one, the Myers like gothic. Well, it's not gothic, but it does lean into a little bit more of kind of like an Addams Family vibe or something like
Well, because
that
they
with
decorated that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I understand that you actually are kind of a fan of this particular structure, right?
I love the house in this movie. I mean, I this is the thing. Like you just gotta you have to make allowances for this and it's a big ask, but it's like with Friday the 13th 5,
Hmm.
like view it as a comedy and it'll be great. And with this, not necessarily that you have to view it as a comedy. I think it helps, but if you just sort of like view it as a ridiculous stupid thing,
Hmm.
it you will stop worrying about these little inconsistencies or big
Hmm.
inconsistencies and appreciate them because like I actually think that the the house here is like it's a really cool set
Hmm.
and it's creepy. Like there's some atmosphere in this movie for sure. And when I think of Halloween Resurrection and those kids like having to traipse around this like little shitty house for
Hmm.
90 minutes and then like compare that to this like mansion that like we get to explore so many different nooks and crannies and rooms, like I'd rather be here. There's like more happening here. It's more interesting.
There is something in my body that rejects the house being alluded to as the Myers house in Resurrection, whereas with this one, it kind of just feels like an alternate universe house, like
Mm.
because I mean, the fact that there's still attention paid to the sister sitting by the window the night Michael came to her, you're like, okay, so we know this isn't like a standalone or a something like that. Like it is still kind of like in keeping with the lore. They just put different set dressing on it to try and give it more of because also that's another thing. I one of the sequences we'll talk about later, but that I'm a huge fan of is the laundry chute sequence, and I'm trying to imagine like a laundry chute being like a plausible thing in a more modern house like the original Myers house, especially because it looked like it was two stories, but it also looked very contained. It didn't look like it had, this cavernous basement that went on forever that was going to be
Yeah.
covered in cobwebs
Well,
where you could find, corpses and things.
possums.
Possums, yes,
Dead
dead
possums.
possums.
The original house, like the actual shooting location of like the 1978 house, did not have a
Mhm.
basement. I don't
Yeah.
think that, like in California, correct me if I'm wrong, most houses don't have basements.
Nope, we don't.
Yeah,
It's
like,
not, I have an attic, like a space, attic
yeah.
space. Nothing cavernous like in the movies, but yeah.
The Scream house, like the Stu Macher farmhouse, doesn't have a
Hmm.
basement, although
Right,
they, retcon that in Scream 5.
right.
But yeah, it's just like it didn't have one. So I actually did a YouTube video a few years back. You can go find it. I think it's like called The Absurd History of the Michael Myers House. And it just goes through like every movie and architecturally how the house changes from movie to movie, but also just sort of like the events that occur within it in
Oh,
each
nice.
timeline.
Yeah.
And I forget like because each style of house, like there's all these like architectural terms that I had to learn for it. But
Hmm.
yeah, there wouldn't have been a basement in the original, and then of course like starting in this movie and every movie going forward, there is. So
Mm.
yeah, I couldn't speak to what the space is in terms of like the original house because we only saw like one or like just a small part of it when he walks through in the beginning and then when Loomis and Brackett go in. But something that's interesting is that in the new movie or Halloween Kills, when we see it all renovated and the couple are living in it, they don't actually have a bathroom because what would be the bathroom is like used as a passageway into the dining room side of the house because then upstairs you see that it's just like I guess they like knocked down the walls so there's just like one side of the house which would have been like Michael's room and then Judith's room connected to each other is now just one room
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
the same with the other side which is now like the one guy's study
Right.
so seeing as how there's no basement or anywhere, like this gay couple who lives there, like I guess they have like a separate outhouse in the back.
Or they flipped another room into the bathroom.
Well, I mean, we see the entire house in Halloween Kills. They like walk
Oh
through
my
all of it.
gosh. Okay. So
So
they just don't
yeah,
go
I
to the
think
restroom. They're like the Brady Bunch, I guess.
sure. Is there no? We see bathrooms in the Brady Bunch.
Well, you see bathrooms, but you don't see a toilet. That's what I'm alluding
Oh,
to.
well, is that
There
just
was
that was
no
probably because it
a
was
choice.
bad to show a toilet or wasn't
I
like
guess
Psycho that
it was the first movie. Psycho was the first
yeah
movie to have a toilet appear on screen and flush a toilet on screen.
yeah
But the Brady Bunch was like, I think, what, 6 years after that? So
well I mean my point being is that like if you're gonna nitpick things about this house you can nitpick things about like every single Myers house
100%.
and this one is just cool it's just like it's like the Hammer version of the Myers house.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. It's like a giant villa that's been run down and everything. And the thing is, everything that works, everything that happens in that house just kind of like seems to work for it as well. Like I don't watch this movie and miss the OG. I actually think it lends more to I guess is tone the word I'm looking for? Or, the atmosphere. That's what the word that you were
Yeah.
using. Yeah, more to the atmosphere than if they had used the original, because this is the thing. As scary as I found the original being introduced as just kind of like it could happen to you. This could be your neighbor's house. It could be your house, and that's what it speaks to. It just speaks to kind of like a very blank, also in a way like kind of like echoing the mask. Could be anybody beneath that mask. Could be anybody living in that house. There's an anonymity about it, and a kind of almost not remarkable quality about it that just keeps it kind of like pedestrian and therefore terrifying because it could be you. Whereas with this one, there's something about also I don't know, something about seeing I think that Jamie's dress is hideous. The fact that when they whip it out, when to show, look at your ba-ba-dum, 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 Jamie's Halloween costume, and I'm like, that is a piece of shit. That makes like Molly Ringwald's prom dress at the end of Pretty in Pink look savvy and
Well,
sophisticated.
it was giving me like a Sleeping Beauty vibe for a second. Like when she
Meets like
first pulled it
maybe,
out.
or meets like fairy princess kind of thing is the vibe I feel
Yeah.
like they leaned into later and everything. And I'm like, okay, could have found a much prettier dress for a very pretty girl. But what I love is the way it looks after it's completely just worn down and mud soaked.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So by the
Yeah.
time she's there, like brushing her hair, she actually matches the decor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I can feel that.
what I find funny is there's just so many things about this. Like are we supposed to believe that Jamie still wants to celebrate Halloween after the events of Halloween 4? It's like she put on a Halloween costume and tried to kill her stepmom. And
Yes.
it would have been funny if like they pulled out the clown costume. Like, here you go. But what it like just try to traumatize her. But I mean, like the thing is, it's like I feel like it would be almost like what Lori was in H2O of just like, oh, we don't celebrate Halloween. That kind of would have been what Jamie would have evolved into, especially like a year
Yeah.
later with the trauma of the events of that night.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of which, like, can we also just talk about the parents? It's like here we are, like 1 year later on the
Yep.
anniversary, on
Hmm.
like, and it's not just like, because sometimes we forget anniversaries. Like we're just like, oh, this was a year ago, like that's easy to forget things. But when the anniversary is on Halloween,
Yeah.
which is the only night that your murderous uncle comes out and kills people, which is when the same shit happened to her mother years
Yeah.
later, that these people decide let's take a vacation to our cabin and like let's not like like take Jamie out of the hospital or what, who knows what the rules are, but we're also going to like insist upon our daughter Rachel coming with us so Jamie can be left completely alone on this night that has like a horrible history within her bloodline.
I have a headcanon as to why. Aside from just it feels right for the parents to be absent, because you're right. I felt it while I
Mhm.
was screening it this time. I was like, oh yeah, they're gone again. Like we actually had their presence in four
Yeah.
and justified their reasoning for like being away. Like it was about networking and about, keeping their heads above water and having family vacations that aren't visits to grandmas. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. This time there is no explanation, which almost makes it, well, not almost, it makes it darker to me because it makes me wonder if there is still some either resentment or fear of Jamie from her adoptive mother, and if she needed the space on the anniversary of the night she got stabbed
Mhm.
by her child, just maybe it's better if she's going to be in the little home with the nurses and the doctors. Loomis is always around, and it's going to be Halloween, so you know what he's like then. And so I'm wondering if she just asked her husband, can we just go do something on our own?
Yeah.
And oh, and I wanted to ask you because I feel like it was said, but I missed it, and I didn't have the I was too busy scribbling. I didn't have the wherewithal to rewind it at this
Scribbling.
juncture. Scribbling, bibbling, scribble, scribbo, scribbo.
Scribble
But
what you know.
yes, but what was I going to say? Oh, but okay, don't they? Doesn't Rachel say something to the effect
Mom
of
and
like,
dad send their
yes,
love. Yeah.
but mom and dad send their love, but doesn't she also say something to either Tina or Loomis, something about like why mom and dad thought that I should go at around this time or something like that? Like, doesn't she say something about like how she feels guilty about like leaving because she's not supposed to be there on Halloween? She's going somewhere else, and that's why nobody looks for her after she gets killed.
Well, I think that so my understanding of the shenanigans that was going on is that Rachel was going to leave to stay with her parents, but she was on the fence about it. She didn't want to. And while they were going to be gone, Rachel was like letting Tina and Sammy
Yeah,
stay at her parents' house.
right. To hook
You
it
know, like
up.
very like Halloween one of just like we're gonna fuck at
Yeah.
the Wallace house because they're out on the town.
Hmm.
So essentially it was just gonna be a party house for that
Yeah.
those two couples that
Yeah.
weekend.
And
And
Tina wasn't going to need her room because Michael and her do it in the car. She
yeah,
said. Sammy's
and
got satin sheets from Rachel.
yeah, and the idea, or at least what Tina was trying to encourage Rachel to do, was just to stay and be like a fifth wheel,
Right.
because it didn't seem like Rachel was dating anyone, because Brady's all dead from Halloween 4. But it's
All dead.
what's funny is that, like, okay, so Rachel in this movie is absolutely not the same character.
No. No.
She is like bubbly and
Yeah.
ditzy, and she's just like she's like blow drying her hair with this big smile on her face, like, oh my God, like this is so cool. And this goes back to like the direction of the movie, because I feel like what this French guy is doing is he is like, it's almost like satire of American horror.
Yeah.
He's like just infusing like what like a European perspective of Americans are like in the
Hmm.
80s. So everything is like, it's like, wow, we want everything so wholesome. Like she's picking out a sweater, and it's like, I don't know about you, but when I like pick out my clothes, I'm not like smiling at it like I'm like in a commercial. She's like feeding her dog, and just like the whole thing is set up like it's actually a commercial, like kibbles and bits, and here's the
Right.
dog like running to the bowl, and she's like, yeah, Max, eat up, like good boy. And you got this 80s pop music playing on the record,
Yeah.
and it's just like this whole thing. She's like, Max, shut up, oh my God. Phone
She's
rings.
doing
I'm
she's doing everything but like washing her hair with herbal essences and going, "Yes!
yeah.
Yes!" If anybody remembers those commercials where
It
people get orgasmic washing their hair. Yeah.
is she nude
Um
in this?
uh,
Because it's like it looks like she's like, it could be, and like this is watching it in 4K, like she
yeah.
could be wearing panties, or it's like a tan line.
I think it was a tan line. I don't know if it was her or if she had a double. I'm I don't know. But she
Unless,
was someone was nude. I think someone was
yeah,
nude.
but it's all one shot, so she would have had to be hiding like at the side, because like the camera
Right.
like literally goes
Right.
into the bathroom, and then it like pulls out, and she's like,
And then she just runs out.
coming
Yeah,
to the
yeah. It
phone.
happens, but I
Yeah.
mean, I do have to say, like, I agree with everything that you're saying, and yet, again, there's like a headcanon thing that happens to me when I'm watching her. It's almost like I feel like, yes, she's completely different, but it almost feels like an evolution to me. Like the end of the buttoned up, rigid final girl,
Yeah.
sadly, because she's not a final girl in this movie. And that's actually kind of what saddens me about like the whole thing, aside from just like the fact that like, we spent so much time with her and she seemed to grow so much in the previous movie that now it's just kind of like, here I am, oh, I'm gone. But like she deserved better, I do agree.
Yeah.
But as far as like dealing with what we have, I like seeing her this way. I like seeing because she seems freer and she seems to have kind of moved on from like this rule book, following kind of like, I don't do this because women don't do that. Guys like this, so I'm going to do that. She seemed to be making her own decisions and just kind of like choosing things, even at her clothing, just things that like made her smile as opposed to things that might make someone else smile. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
found it kind of liberating watching her like that.
I don't know. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I just think it's
Yeah.
hilarious, because it's like she's so like tuned out of just like like she's not like thinking like danger or whatever. Like everyone's like, Michael's dead and we're fine, even though like it's contradictory, because in the scene before there's like a whole bit where she's talking to Loomis, and she's like, well, why do I feel so weird? And it cuts, and I feel like there's more to this scene,
Hmm.
because it's a very abrupt cut. Like he's about to respond to her, and they're gonna talk more. But it does just end there. And it makes
Yeah.
me feel like she might have had a bigger role in this, and they cut it down. But before they go away, Amethyst says, uh, Rachel is where is it? Starring in a
Starring in her
Mentos
Mentos commercial.
commercial. It is very Mentos. And then
Das Freshmecha. And I saw
Adrian
Khan. Yeah, go. You go ahead.
Adrian Phillips is saying it's funny that she comes across as very Julie James at the end of
Ooh,
her first two movies.
and yet she
It'll
doesn't enrage me. She doesn't enrage me the way Julie does. I'm like, oh, good for her. She's in recovery. But also, it's a year later. Like, how long is
yeah.
it supposed to be after in the end of the first I Know What You
I
Did
think a
Last Summer when
year.
she
I'm
I don't
wearing a
even remember.
towel. Jeez, that's all you ever think about.
I also just wanted to point out Khan said two things that I like. Said, back up a little. The bride's dress in Ready or Not is death post Jamie, like in her pink tattered
Uh,
kind of thing.
yes.
And the other thing was, we were talking about how she recovers, and Khan just wrote, she's young enough that she'll forget it. So,
Mm,
so I mean, also maybe there was that. I don't know. Maybe the absence of the parents is supposed to like of the Carruthers is supposed to also just kind of allude to a like, well, we wash our hands of this kind of thing. We just can't deal. We've got to. Maybe they're trying to save their marriage. You know, maybe they're out
it was
on
kind
a second
of, yeah,
honeymoon.
it didn't seem too good in four.
And maybe they're realizing, like, who knows how long Jamie's going to be, like, incapacitated
Yeah.
in this facility, and Rachel's going off on her own. So, like, maybe it's just going to be the two of them, and they need to start getting used to
Yeah.
it. I don't
You know what I
know.
would have liked to see? Just like get rid of the Carruthers altogether and just like have Jamie be Loomis's
Committed?
ward.
Have her be committed to a ward, like
That's
in a
not what I said.
straitjacket.
I said have her be Loomis's ward.
Oh, Loomis's ward. I thought you said in a ward.
No, you got to put on your listening ears.
Have her be a Final Destination 2 with
Yeah.
clear rivers.
No, I
Yeah,
want to
that
see. I want to see her. She can be like the Dick Grayson to.
that's actually one of the most authentic things about this movie, though. I feel is like Jamie's continual reaction to Loomis while she's not speaking is like
Mhm.
he's just going off on her scene after scene, and she's just looking at him like, "What the fuck? Why do they keep leaving me alone with this raving lunatic?"
Okay, does he work there, or is he just sort of like
I think he's consulting. I don't think he works there, but I think he's a consultant for
I
her.
feel like he's just retired because remember in the last movie the one
Yes,
guy said he's like semi-retired or
sure.
he wishes that he would just retire. And
Right, right,
I mean
right,
at this
right.
point it's like what is Loomis doing? Like he has not left Haddonfield since the end of Halloween 4. He has been there the entire time, day in, day out. Like he's become the crazy Ralph of Haddonfield. And
Yeah.
everyone just sort of like accepts him. Like he just hangs around. They don't
Yeah.
pay him to be there. They can't stop him, but he just like he has this like entitlement and authority wherever he like he can just like tell the sheriff what's happening and everyone's just
Oh
like
yeah.
okay like I don't know if it's because they know that he's right deep down or they're just sort of like they know that it'll be worse if they just ignore him or don't let him do it like he'll do something crazy like sick a mob on the town or like
Sure,
create a
sure, sure.
situation.
But I mean, also, I think it's also kind of like a dress for the job you want kind of situation where he's he's a doctor, but he's always dressed kind of like a detective, and he's always got those, like black gloves on. So it always looks like
Mm,
he's up to no good, but also avenging evil. But I
yeah.
also just love that this is a Loomis who's no longer restrained by the laws or social graces of society.
Yeah.
His laws are now those of the elements, of like fire, water, earth, and sky, and his words have now just basically become like either urgent disclaimers or flowery prose that he just kind of like drops. He's almost become like a Dickensian character, or a Neolithic like gothic kind of
Yeah.
character who absolutely again that's another
Well,
reason why
he's
the
the Van
house works.
Helsing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like that's why the house needs to look the way it does because that's the way the house has evolved. That's the way he has evolved or devolved. It's up to the audience to decide.
I think that this is his best performance
It's
in
amazing.
in the franchise. I mean, if not the best performance, because I do like his performance in one and two. as well.
Yeah,
I like his performance in all of them, but
me
this is
too.
the one where he's just the most unhinged, and it just feels like every movie to this point, he has like the screws of becoming a little more
Hmm.
looser. So
Hmm.
it's only natural that we get to this, and then he mellows out in the next one. Um,
Yeah.
but this is the peak, and it results in him suffering from a stroke. I always thought it was a heart
Right.
attack, but it's a stroke.
Right. And
Yeah.
all, but well, because I mean, also, I mean, it's very strange because the movie might have you believe that he sees his end if you just stop at this movie because like
Yeah.
he isn't well, I don't even remember exactly what it gets pushed into something and is he slashed or impaled or what is it? I don't even
Well,
remember.
no, because he's trying to reason with Michael,
Yeah.
and Michael like slashes him across the stomach and then pushes his
Like
head
yeah.
into the window and then
Right.
hurls him over the banister. But he comes to because that's when he like grabs Jamie and he's using her as bait. And he's
Right,
like,
right,
"Come
right.
get the little girl," and then drops the metallic net on him and starts beating him with
Right,
the
right.
the plank of wood.
But doesn't he also tumble onto him like
Well,
at the
yeah, like
close of their yeah.
at the very end, Michael is like out for the count. He's
Right,
like
right, right.
writhing and like, "Ugh." And Loomis is just like he's exerted himself so much that like by the end when he like lifts up the wood for the last time, it's like it was just too much for his frail brain or
Right.
nervous system, whatever's connected to the stroke or aneurysm part of
Yeah.
your body, and he drops it and just kind of collapses on him. He's like, "Oh." I love. There's like a lot of fun dying sounds in this movie when Tina gets stabbed and Jamie's running like,
No, yeah, all of the this is the thing. All of the death in this movie I think is done very, very well. Even if it's not like riddled with like, sound design. Like I'm very, very fond of Michael, boyfriend of
Mhm.
Tina's death. I mean, even just the aftermath, because again, it brings it back to like a more pedestrian kind of vibe in terms of like he takes him out by plunging that thing into his head. He collapses, and then you just see him grab the wrist and just drag the body out because it's
Well,
time
he's
to start.
convulsing.
Well, yeah, but it's time to
Yeah.
start hiding the bodies. Like we've got,
We've got work to do. Roll up
we've
our
got,
sleeves.
we got to set up my little fun house.
Yeah.
It would be funny if there was a little bounce into Michael's step if he kind
Yeah.
of skipped around the body, like, oh, so excited, like a kid on
Yeah.
Christmas or something. But
Yeah, that would have been really fun. What I wanted to say
yeah,
about the kills in this movie is
yeah,
that there's a variety of weapons that he uses, which I don't think is kind of we've seen in. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but like this is the one that stands out to me because he's got the what it's like a gardening hoe that you just described.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
And then he's got the pitchfork. He's got the is it like a scythe? What would you call
yeah.
that thing?
Scythe, something like that. Yeah,
Skype.
Skype, R.I.P.
Yeah. Um, which is funny, and it's like he's in a barn. There's gonna be
Yeah,
lots of barn implements to use there. So, I already
yeah.
liked that
Finally,
a lot more. He uses that like rope ladder to hang
yeah.
oh, Officer Charlie. So yeah, there's like there's a little bit more going on here than just like the simple knife or scalpel or hypodermic needle. What is he using
Oh,
for? Or he uses the shotgun.
yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah. And he pulls it out
The ice
here.
skate in H2O,
Right.
which we don't even get to see. We just see the aftermath of that.
No, but yeah, no, I agree with you there. I do have to say another thing, like just from the get-go, I remember um I always look for kind of like the microcosmic thing of the movie. Sometimes it's the theme, but for me this time it was more kind of like the audience reaction. What's an example of things that can be perceived both ways, either for the better or the worse. And it literally, I hit play and I started watching the movie, and it was just the opening credits, and I was just kind of like, I remember my own inner divisiveness starting here because I remembered thinking um, there was something to the smash cut of the and
Yeah.
everything of the knife going into the pumpkin and everything like that, and even the sound that it made.
Well, we don't know
That
that it's the pumpkin right away.
right, but just like even but then once it's revealed, there's still something incredibly fragile about that, and it took me back to just Psycho in terms of like what they used for like the stabbing sounds by stabbing melons and everything like that.
Mm.
So here we are stabbing produce again, to like kind of blur the line between something that is just, kind of everyday that people do and something that is horrific that you never want to happen to you. So I remember
Mhm.
being kind of like enticed by that. Because yeah, just the slicing and all of it, it's just about damage that you can do. And then you see it done to a vegetable and you're like, oh, what if that were a person? So it's kind of cool. That said, I remember just the staggering of the credits, feeling much more evocative of a Friday the 13th movie, like the old Paramount releases, just
Yeah.
because they're, sporadically placed about the screen. They're orange, but they are, it felt much more Jason to me than Michael. So I'm like, oh, I can understand why people would be like, no. I mean, if you're going to be a purist about it, it's like, no, there's got to be a pumpkin on one side. They must have loved the new David Gordon Green trilogy, but a pumpkin on one side and the credits on the other
Yeah.
side. But
Well, I mean, we didn't have that for Halloween 4, and obviously
sure.
Halloween 3 was a pumpkin, but it was its own take on it with the
Right.
digital aspect.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So yeah, I think there was already to a point where they were just doing their own thing. But you mentioned the text on the screen, and like
Yeah.
beyond that, because we see 1 year later Halloween Eve, and then when it says like the Haddonfield Children's Clinic, I
Hmm.
hate that font. That whatever that typeface is that they're
Oh
and it's
my
all like
God.
yeah, like I
I'm
miss
usually
the
the one who
old
hates fonts. That's
yeah.
great.
No, but it was like I missed like what happened to like what we've had
Right,
in the
right.
past. So
No, even
yeah.
the score too. I noticed that it was in the beginning, it was synth, and I was like, I can understand why in one's mind that might feel more adjacent to a John Carpenter thing, but honestly, it just kind of made it feel a little more generic. It just felt like fingers hitting keys. Whereas later, when they did their cover of the Halloween theme, by John
Mhm.
Carpenter, but they did it with with different kind of like synth stings happening while clearly a piano. Like it's always been a piano, but this
Oh,
one,
like
there's
the
something.
running through the laundry in the
Yeah,
basement.
when
Yeah.
yeah, all of that. There's something
Ding
about
ding
that
ding
particular
ding. And
cover that
then
I'm really fond
yeah.
of because it
Yeah.
feels like a new twist on something that was
Yeah.
already, but that is immediately identifiable, not just because of
Yeah.
the, kind of iconic score, but because, yeah, I just remember thinking like, oh, I like that the first time I saw it, and every time I'm watching it, I'm just gonna like, why don't I play this more?
Yeah.
I could
Do
run to
you
this.
do you think that if you were to like have every score played for you, like at least like the main theme, that you'd be able to identify which movie it was from?
I don't. I didn't even think that was a thing until there was a clip with Adam Hlavik doing it and getting every one of them right.
Yeah.
But for me, there were a few. Like there are definitely a few. Like I can identify two for sure. I
Yeah.
think anybody can. And of course three. Anybody can identify three. But in terms of like he was identifying like the difference between like H2O and something else, and I was like, oh, and but when he was saying it, I was realizing like maybe because I remember there being like kind of this weird, I can't put it any other way than just kind of like a shroud, like a like a hearable, an audible shroud, just kind of drifting over, the
Yeah.
usual ding 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 ding. What about you?
I think most of them, there's like some of the more generic ones like Halloween Resurrection,
Sure.
that might get lost for me, but that actually might even help it. Like, oh, that must be Resurrection because it just
Right.
there's a simplicity about it. I don't think that there's a bad score uh, among any of them in the franchise. Like they've all got
Hmm.
their nuances, and I love that they sound different from movie to movie. I don't think that it should sound the same every
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just occurred to me because you were bringing that up. Uh, let's talk about the mask because I
Okay.
feel like that's the biggest thing that people hate on.
I mean, I
It
get it.
sucks. It's awful.
It
Do you
is.
do you think that it's better? or worse than Halloween 4's?
I think it's better because this is the thing. It's awful, and it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers everybody else that the neck flap is not tucked in. But I because I kind of forget about that. I tend to just kind of like watch the shape. But I do have to say it doesn't resemble the original mask, but I think it gets the job done enough. More so than four, because with four it was distracting, and I already told you, like, the movie kind of doesn't happen for me in the way that it could if I believed that was Michael Myers. There's something about I forget the name of the performer who plays Michael Myers in this one, but
So
his, yeah,
that is Don Shanks. He also played the
okay.
fisherman in I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, so this is a man who knows how to create an imposing presence and how to
Yeah.
drift through a scene. And even when he's playing, when he's standing across from Loomis and his head hangs down in shame in the mask, which, I mean, again, a lot of these decisions, I'm just kind of like, really, Michael, at this stage? Okay. But there's something to it where he never loses his threat, the potential for danger. You're not going to relax around a guy like that, regardless of how silly his mask looks. I think the hair is a little too long, and I think they got that wrong too on it. But
Mhm.
again, it's still blank enough, and I think it's closer. It's nearer the mark than the mask in four. What about
Yeah.
you?
Grant Dempsey is saying, I think Fives has a distinct look to it that suits the movie's European Gothic aesthetic. And I agree. I
Nice.
think like the mask feels like it belongs to this movie. Whereas when I think of the Halloween 4 mask, like I just feel like this looks cheap.
Yeah.
The reason why the mask looks this way in this movie is because I guess they didn't have access to the masks before it, or for whatever reason, I'm not sure what that part is, but they made the mask by making a mold of Greg Nicotiro's head. He was the makeup effects artist on this.
Yeah.
So that's his face. We're no longer William Shatner. We're now Greg Nicotero, Michael Myers, and I think also maybe like Don Shanks might have like a bigger head or something, but it just like the
Oh
way
yeah.
that it fit. I think that I would be very interested to see what this design of Michael would have looked like had he tucked the mask into the collar.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was
Yeah.
just a choice because it's like maybe Don Shanks was like, this is not comfortable, or Dominique Othanin-Gerard is like, no, keep it this way. I like it. Or who knows? It might have even looked worse tucked in.
I will say there is something about it that just from memory just seems a little like the face itself, not the neck, but just the face that
Mhm.
seems a little shorter. So maybe if they tucked in the neck flap, maybe they were worried about the face kind of looking too compact and cute, like a baby
Yeah.
duckling or something. Because it does have it's got a very like kind of like round forehead, very pronounced, and it all seems to kind of like come together. It's not a Cupid doll, but it's almost got like a weird, um, kind of China doll. Like it looks cold to the touch. It almost looks like he's wearing ceramics on his face, except for the neck flap. So I don't know. Maybe they
I
did
just
that
felt
to
like
like elongate it.
the Halloween 4 one looked ceramic.
No,
But
that one just looks like if I poked it, it would just go meh. It
yeah,
just looks like fabric to
yeah,
me.
it's not good. Um, I don't know, like it looks shitty. It looks stupid, but I love it,
Yeah.
like in spite of itself. And yeah, I know, like it's just one of the things. It's like the house, the mask. I just think like alternate timeline. I know a lot of people have headcanoned that the mask becomes warped because it gets into the water at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Or even like in the ensuing like
Oh.
explosion or like crawling through the mine shaft, like that somehow warped it.
Maybe he almost drowned because the neck flap was tucked in. So he was like, well, if I ever fall in water, that's never happening again. So he
I
untucked it.
thought,
So if he ever fell in,
yeah. Well, it seemed
I
like it
don't
was
know.
untucked from the beginning.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like I said, it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers other people. But then again, like a lot of things about this movie don't bother me.
What what do you make of the prologue bit with the hermit and the parrot and all that?
Okay, so um, I mean, I feel like it always gets discussed, so it's fun to, have our say.
Mhm.
This time while I was watching it, all I could think was like, first off, this man probably kind of had it coming. And I don't mean to victim blame, but you open your door, you go out to investigate, like a strange noise. You don't see anything. You come back in. Someone has invaded your space, goes to choke you, and the only reason they can't follow through with this attempted murder of you is because they don't have the strength, so they tumble to the floor or whatever.
Mhm.
This man nurses him back to health for a year, and there's never anything revealed in terms of like, did the man think it was odd that this, young man didn't speak, or I don't know. I just so many unanswered
How old
questions.
is
I
Michael
think
at this point? Is he like
uh
32?
how
He's
old was he in
21,
the first
21
21?
and 78,
Okay.
and
And then
now
1988 is the
10
10
years
years
later,
later
yeah,
movie.
so he's
So
32. Yeah.
32. Yeah.
Michael Aubrey Myers,
Michael Aubrey Myers.
born October 19th, 1957.
Now you're that guy from the beginning of Resurrection.
Oh, yeah. What was
Just
his
rattling
name?
off. God, who cares?
Yeah.
But the one who was obsessed with Ed Gein and
Yeah.
oh, who was the other one? Shit, because he wanted the Pogo. Shit, the clown. Why can't I remember his name right now? The
Oh,
one who buried boys under
Gacy?
his Gacy.
Yeah.
Yes, John Wayne Gacy. That's right. Anyway, okay, that was a
Yeah.
that was a tangent.
We went there,
Anyway,
yeah.
you're that guy. I mean, so yeah, it all just seems like an unanswered question because it feels like there could be a whole movie there just in terms of like what is Michael like the rest of the year now that I mean, he's kind of made Halloween his thing now. He's going to do it
Hmm.
a third time this year, but what does he do in the meantime? I don't know if I need the answer to that question actually, but it for the first time it made me think about it because I guess because he's not in a
Yeah.
catatonic state like in the beginning of the fourth movie.
Well,
But what do you make of
we kind of get that in Rob Zombie's H2. I think
it?
he's just having visions of his mother and a white horse, and
He's just charging
yeah.
around. I mean,
Well,
see, sorry. Go ahead. You go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
you were talking about how this guy deserved it, because like he nursed him back to health. But I'm also thinking like, here's this guy who like showed, regardless of whether he was like about to choke him or what, because that could have been misinterpreted. But this guy who's like in a coma and he's not trying to get outside help and be like, hey, this, someone might need medical attention,
Right, right,
or
right.
like, and then they'd be like, that's Michael Myers, he's dangerous, and
Yeah,
they could have put him back in. So I mean, in a way, he's like, as you would say, the first domino in everything that happens, because this guy just like being like, I'm just gonna let him lay here for a year, and
yeah.
that, like, nurse him back to health so he can go and kill again.
And this is the thing. They seem to have given him a bird to endear the audience more so to him, like he's just this kindly,
Sucky.
well, yeah,
Quiet,
unsuspecting,
Sucky.
yeah, this quite unsuspecting old man with Sucky, with just a bird,
Sucky.
with
Sucky,
Sucky,
not Sucky.
Sucky, with Sucky the bird.
That's sucky.
He had Sucky, he had Fucky, and he had $2. But anyway, but anyway, so Sucky. I gotta say it like the vampire in True Blood,
Yeah.
Sucky. But so he has a bird anyway, and like I said, it's supposed to endear us to him because he's just a sweet old man with a bird. But all I
Mhm.
could think was like, you're a pet owner, man. Like, if he's gonna go like strangle you, how do you know you're not gonna turn your back on him and he's not gonna kill your bird? And I mean, this guy kills animals, like predominantly dogs. We'll get there, but because it happens in this movie too.
There's a whole deleted scene where Loomis goes investigating the outskirts of town and finds the hobo shack with Sheriff Meeker, and the bird's there dead,
Oh,
and
I
he's
haven't
like,
seen that yet.
no,
See?
it didn't. I'm making
Oh,
shit
you're
up.
making it up. You're making it up. Okay. You were very convincing. You should
They
be an
they
actor.
they walk in and see the dead bird, and Loomis does his famous bit. He got
Yeah.
hungry. But there, but there is legitimately a like an alternate opening. So okay,
Yes.
like, are you aware of this? Because that features on your 4K that
I
you
haven't
have.
gotten that far yet. I had too much to do
Yeah.
today.
So
Yeah.
originally, what the scene was supposed to be is that Michael, floats down the river and then he just sort of like comes onto this land. There's no hope or whatever. And he collapses, and there's a witch doctor of
Oh
all
no.
people who in Haddonfield, Haddonfield's got everything, who stumbles
They
upon
really do.
Michael. And I guess that's where like he's sort of like claiming him or whatever. And that's all they had filmed of that. And I probably Mustafa Kad was like, no, absolutely not. This cannot fly. So they had to like come up with something very quickly to put in place, and that's why we have the hermit and the parrot and all that. Just like, how do we explain where he's
Oh.
been for a year?
I mean,
Um,
I would have been satisfied with him like falling down that hole. People think, well, there's no way he's going to survive that. And then a year later, he just
Hand comes up.
resurrects. Yeah, very, I mean, because that's another thing I got kind of at the beginning of this is even though, I mean, again, they kind of account for him. Um, It made me think about the transition between the first Frankenstein movie and Bride of Frankenstein, where you think he died in a fire, you think he full on fell and shit fell on him. And then
Yeah.
you find out at the beginning of the next movie that, well, he fell down to the, catacombs of this windmill because windmills have catacombs, and there was water down there. So he was safe from the fire in that water. So he's charred but alive or
Yeah.
unalive, whatever. So yeah, I was satisfied with it for Karloff. I'd be satisfied with it for Myers,
I just don't know why they need it anyway, because like if you think of the end of the first movie, he just disappears. And I
Hmm.
think that that's just, satisfactory enough. They could have done that. But I feel like they're at a point in the franchise where it's like we need to, there are certain things we need to explain, but there's a lot of things that we're not going to explain.
Yeah. Well, also, okay, while we're talking about like openers, our first visitation of Jamie in this movie when she's just waking up just with a the silent scream and everything, and this nurse
Mhm.
runs up to her. I
There's
can't
Patsy.
I cannot stand Nurse Patsy. Okay, she she runs up to her, and I think again, if you're watching it for the first time, you might wonder like where these things are coming from, or you might not wonder because she runs up and the first thing she says is, "Look at me. Do you want me to call your mom?" And it just makes Jamie like lose her shit even more, always silently, but she's reeling because we all know, and we just revisited what she did at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
So,
Stepmom too. Like, come
right.
on, how
So,
insensitive is that? She's worse than those
well,
bully kids.
no, but I mean, sometime at some point, like some people do kind of like graduate from like calling somebody their stepmom if they don't have like an active relationship with their biological parent. They might call their step parent their parent if, things are healed and everything's going swimmingly. But anyway, the thing that got me about that was just the nurse's insensitivity because I'm like, okay, you've obviously been watching her for a while. Like she's been here a while. So you know exactly like what she did to her stepmother. Why would you ask her when she wakes up quasi screaming out of a nightmare, do you want me to call your mom? Fuck you, you insensitive prick. Anyway, and I remember there's another point. This doesn't have anything to do with the character, but I do remember watching one of the commentaries back in the day with Danielle Harris, where
Mm,
she talked about the scene where you mentioned it already, where they're trying to resuscitate her and they're gonna, poke her throat open and
yeah.
shit until Loomis comes in and actually does something right. He prevents them, says it's passing to show like, okay, he's been watching her, he's been paying attention for the past year, he knows her rhythms and everything. Um, but the nurse apparently, when Patsy was supposed to breathe into her mouth, she literally plugged up Danielle Harris, the actress's nose, and blew foul air into this little girl's mouth. And she was like, I don't know why she did that. It made me so upset. I felt like I couldn't say anything because it was embarrassing. I think it would have been for her, but oh my God, it was one of the most savory things that's ever happened to me on camera. Just having to sit there and lay there, convulsing and have someone breathe into your mouth. Anyway, so I don't like her for that reason too. But
Ooh.
anyway,
Well, that character apparently is dead. And this
Right.
is very unclear in the movie. So when at the end when the cops are called back to the clinic and we get there and they're wheeling two bodies out that are covered by
Yeah.
sheets. And the first one is like it's so like blink and you miss it because like Meeker just like pulls the sheet off for a second and the guy whoever it is like laying face down with like maybe like the head out to the side of it and it's supposed to be the
Sure.
doctor who was about to deliver the tracheotomy and
Yeah.
then it's alleged that the gurney behind that's like being pulled out is Nurse Patsy.
Oh, okay.
And these would have been not Michael kills, but Man in Black kills because
Oh,
we
right.
follow Michael's trajectory through
Mm-hmm.
the movie at this point, and but when Tina leaves the clinic with the clown cops, that's when the Man in Black walks up to it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And kicks that dog. That's
Well,
earlier, but
that's
that's
earlier.
when he
Yeah,
first makes his way into town.
that's outside of the Brady drugstore.
Right, just so
It's
you
the
know that
same
he's a
location,
bad guy.
Vincent's drugstore. Yeah.
Right. I wanted to ask
Like a
you.
cowboy just strolling into town.
I
His
feel like there's
boots.
something that's introduced that's never played upon in this movie, and I don't need, again, I don't need it, but I'm just curious, like what it felt like again a first domino, which is the rock or the brick, whatever, being thrown through the window with the evil must die or the evil
Yeah.
child must die and everything inscribed on it. And one of the things Rachel and Loomis kind of break down together is that it seems like it's come from one of the townspeople,
Yeah.
and that there's this rhetoric surrounding this legend that's building up around Jamie because she's
Mm.
related to him that she's gonna go the way because I guess everybody knows she stabbed her. And it just kind of it made me think about Halloween Ends, just like when everybody, not everybody, but just like whenever people with animosity towards Laurie Strode would just be kind of like, "You tempted that man. It would have been fine." And now, look what he's done to my mother. You know?
Now I need that scene in Halloween Ends where Sandra's sister throws a brick into Lorraine's car.
I would have preferred
Or
that
just
to
at
the
the side of her
words.
head. Yeah, just
Yeah, no, I would have preferred a brick to like the confrontation because the
yeah.
confrontation actually hurts more. But anyway, but it felt like they set it up and then like the rest of the time it just seems like everybody spent the whole time kind of caring for the child, or did they? Now that's another thing. Because how are we supposed to feel about Tina? How are we supposed to feel about her throughout the film? Any wide range of
Well, I mean,
reactions?
before we get into Tina, I just one thing that had occurred to me while I was watching because I was just like,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's a good point that this is not a through line
Yeah.
that is there essentially in terms of like the evil must die,
Right.
but just just in my own headcanon this time watching it, just based on the fact that we know Michael, not Myers, but Mikey, Tina's boyfriend,
Sure, sure,
you know,
sure.
is driving around in his car, and we hear the screeching tires. I like to think that like that was actually him that threw the rock through the window because he would have driven Tina to the hospital. She got
Oh my
out,
God.
and then when he was driving away, he's just like, "Hua!" And then we hear the tires screech, and that was actually all him.
Oh my God. And like he was just doing it to like stir the pot because he's an asshole.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, and maybe just to like, keep people away. Like maybe Tina won't want to go if she thinks there's rocks being thrown through the windows.
Maybe.
Because don't they have that moment like in the car where they're gonna go see Jamie and he doesn't want to, and she's like, "It'll just take a
It
minute,
makes
whatever."
absolutely no sense because they're just like I guess they leave the Carruthers and they're walking
Yeah,
to the clinic because
yeah.
they're going to visit Jamie, and it's like you were just there. I don't know I don't know where directionally anyone is going in this movie.
No.
There doesn't seem to be a plan, but they're like heading to the fucking clinic to see Jamie because Sammy even says, "I thought you wanted to see Jamie,"
Yeah.
and douche nozzle shows up and suddenly they're just like, "Oh no, we're gonna go to this convenience store instead." Because that's the happening place in Haddonfield on a Halloween
Right.
afternoon.
Right.
Um, Are these okay? Are these high school kids or are they? Because I think this was a question that we asked about
Yeah,
Rachel
damned if I
in.
know. I mean, like you can drive when you're in high school. Again, I never see any books. Tina seems to be a contemporary of Rachel's. By now, Rachel really doesn't seem to be in school at all because why wouldn't she be going to class? I feel like Rachel's certainly got to be like 18 and thinking about like going to am I gonna go to college? I can't fly to Europe and backpack, because my adoptive sister needs me. She has to stay close to home. She has to, take care of her sister because she's the only member of her family who seems to care. And it's funny, she seems to be not afraid of Loomis, but everybody seems to have the same kind of reaction to him when they bring you know, Max and the dress and everything, and they're having a good time, and he walks in and everybody stops, like, uh-oh, Dad's home. Like, sorry,
Yeah.
sir, curtsy kind of thing.
Well, I'm looking at the calendar on my phone all the way back to
Yes.
1989. October 31st was a Tuesday, so it wasn't happening over the course of a weekend, which might have explained
Okay.
leaving town.
Right.
Um, well, okay, so I know that there was there were different scripts that were kind of thrown around before this one became, I don't even think this was a script. I think that they just hired Dominique Othan and Gerard, and then there was like scraps of different scripts they had and sort
Here's
of
your
pieced this
scene
one
for
together. Yeah.
today. Yes.
Um, but initially Lindsay was supposed to come back as a character
Oh,
uh from that we saw in Halloween 4. And
yes.
how old were Tommy and Lindsay in the original?
I always got the impression that they must have been in 1978 the same age as Michael Myers when he killed his sister. But
No, they were
aren't they a little
96. They're
older? They're a
older
little
than
older.
that.
Yeah.
Because whatever their age would have been like 10 years older. So if they were
They're in their
8
teens.
or
Right.
9 in the original Halloween, then they would have, because both Tommy and Lindsay are in Halloween 4, they would have been that age too. So a year later, and if they're like contemporaries of Rachel, then perhaps they're out of school now. Like
Right.
this would have been their first year
Yeah.
out of it. And I don't think that Haddonfield Community College exists yet.
Well, here, Amethyst is saying the continuity of this script is all over. Jamie went from 7 in H4 to 9, and they say it in
Mm.
H5. And Loomis says something about living through this for 12 years when it should be 11.
Oh.
So, yeah. And it says the script doesn't make any mention of Tina in her intro scene like H4's did for Rachel's. So, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
I always thought that Rachel probably did like her like a community, not a community college, but like what's the word? Shit, community theater production or something like, to kind of take her mind off of this at some point in the past year, and that's how she met Tina because Tina's got such musical theater freak energy.
Ba-ba-dum, ba-ba-dum, ba-ba,
And I say that
ba-ba-dum.
as a former, well, I'm still a musical theater freak, but when I was a teen, yeah, there was no stopping me either. I was probably
Yeah.
just as obnoxious as Tina was.
Is she a gleek?
No, that's a whole other thing. The,
Yeah.
the, the, the Gleeks have their iPods and their whatnot, their covers. When
Yeah.
you're a theater purist like me, it's a different thing.
Like you and Tina. So
Me and
Tina,
Tina.
Tina to me is like she's very much like there's a lot of similarities between
Yeah.
her and Laurie Strode in a sense that Laurie was the one person in her friend group who was noticing things.
Right.
So, well, Annie and Linda are just like completely oblivious. Like Laurie's noticing, like, who is this person like watching me?
Yeah.
Why is this man behind the bush? Blah, blah, blah. But Laurie questions those things.
Yes.
All the same stuff happens to Tina. She literally, like, she turns around, she sees a figure inside the Carruthers house moving away,
Yeah.
and her response is just sort of like, oh, not my problem.
Hmm.
And then later when they're in the the barn and she's following the cats and she's literally looking, you can see, and I mean, maybe this is because it's 4K, but you can see his silhouette. She can
Yes.
see someone in, like, if she's not feeling the presence, you can absolutely see it. And she's just sort of like, what am I doing? I hate cats. Like there's just every opportunity for her to the universe is sending her messages like, Tina, you endanger a girl, and she is just ignoring them. So I feel like Tina is the anti-Laurie Strode in a sense
Yeah.
that she has all the gifts that Laurie does, but she just doesn't do anything with them. She's unable to reach her Laurie Strode potential.
And she also doesn't have any kind of like interesting dimensionalizing contradictions like Laurie does. The fact that she's, kind of like the bookish, virginal, one who's too shy to ask a guy out to a dance, but also doesn't mind sitting in the passenger seat smoking weed before she's gonna go babysit some kids on Halloween night, like
Mhm.
she's got colors to her. But
Yeah.
with Tina, for me, number one, you're right because it even starts earlier than that when after Rachel's demise when Tina walks into the Carruthers house and she walks into I believe it's Rachel's
Jamie's room.
bedroom.
No,
It's
it's
Jamie's
Jamie's
room?
room.
Jamie's room.
Yeah.
Okay. So she walks into Jamie's room and she just does that thing where she like walks in and then stops
Her
and just
spidey senses are
yeah, she
tingling.
just
Yeah.
senses something and then she slowly just kind of makes her way to the stuffed bear. And then
Yeah.
she gets into the fetal position with it very briefly on Jamie's bed next to the clown. Okay, again, a clown toy that's going to be sitting on her bed waiting for her when she gets home. How's she going to feel about that? But anyway, and she's just kind of like absorbing the creepy. And then all of a sudden the doorbell goes ding dong. She's like, oh, and she's just
Well,
back to her weird
no,
little teehee
what
self.
happens is
What?
because she notices the picture frame
Oh, broken.
on
Right.
well, it's the picture, it's broken, but the photo inside is missing. And this is the one
Right,
that
right, 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 right. That's
Rachel
right.
finds. So she's like slowly moving towards this thing, like
Yes.
that's weird. And then the doorbell rings and she goes running down. She's like, "Hee, Sammy."
I think she does. You're right. She is kind of like the anti-Larry Strode because she doesn't change course like enough to like really affect anything until her own demise. Because
Yeah.
arguably, okay, let's talk about this for a second. Because there's another moment where she's getting all the signals that something's wrong, and it's clear as day, and it's the tempt moment. It's also what I like to call the Michael Myers role play moment, which has become kind of like a cornerstone of that character for me.
Mhm.
And anytime a movie kind of forgets about it, I go, okay, one demerit, because because initially we had him with like the whole like sheet and the glasses in the first movie. The second movie, it was
Mhm.
like the hot tub with the touching the hand and
Yeah.
and then pulling away and then like, oh, you're not, and then in this movie, it's like the reveal of the French maid costume and everything like that, and her saying like, Michael, let me in, come on, Michael, and then
Mhm.
finally she gets let in, and you just see this wide eye, this lone wide eye, almost in profile from this big, heavy. I don't know, looks like Richard Nixon if you worked him over a bunch, gave him a bunch of knots on the face. I don't know who he's supposed to be, but and he's just kind of looking at her, but this giant eye just glistening, just taking her in. And I always, again, it just kind of refreshes this question around sex to me for Michael, wondering, like, why do they do it? Like, I know when they do it, I got to take them out. But why do they do it? I'm curious, the head tilt of it all. He just kind of wants to see, like, could this go somewhere? I'm trying on another mask. I'm trying on another identity. But she's still calling me Michael, so that's kind of interesting. And so that's what's going on from his POV, and he always has to shift back to, his domineering, I'm gonna kill you, I'm angry kind of fucker.
Mhm.
But what she's doing is just kind of going, this is creepy. When he hasn't laughed once, he hasn't said word one to her, he hasn't even blinked, and she's just. But does she get out of the car? No. She just wants, what, some cigarettes over at the Cookie
Yeah.
Woman. So again, like Laurie Strode, I hope would not have stayed in that car. I doubt she might have even gone in. She might have opened the door and been like, Are you okay? You know, she something. Her
Hmm.
little she would have tingled. But
Yeah.
there was something else that I want to say. Oh, but you brought up the what am I doing? I hate cats. That's another thing about Tina that I find fascinating because I feel like it's not really, maybe there's clues earlier than this, but I feel like the first time it's really introduced, it's a moment that everybody talks about. And it's the moment where Jamie recovers her speech and her first word is Tina. She's like, say it again. And she goes, "D- uh, Dana! It's harder the second time. And then she's like holding her and saying like it sounds so great and everything. And then like all Jamie wants is for her to stay with her. And she's telling her like one day I'll understand. There are going to be real people who are important to you, not just little girls who won't, you know, who won't matter to you.
Yeah.
Like people are going to make you feel important. They're going to make your heart glow like neon or whatever.
Well,
All
what's
of that
funny about
bullshit.
no, she's like one day your heart's gonna feel like you're connected, like it's
Yeah.
neon, and that always like stuck out to me because I mean, I wasn't like a huge science whiz or anything
Oh,
in school, but I do remember studying the periodic table of elements, and
yeah.
neon is like one of the only elements that just does not bond with other elements. Like it's unable to because I it has all the thingies.
Oh my
So this is like I
God.
don't remember any of it. So it's
Yeah,
just funny
yeah,
that this is the
yeah.
analogy that Tina is making is just that like it's like your heart is neon and you've connected to another
Like you're
element.
incompatible to
Yeah.
anybody else in the world, but you rush to them anyway.
Yeah.
And you and you rush away from any responsibilities you have, and you're never sensible if you can help it. Tee hee hee.
Hmm.
And so here she is like making this case for like running to someone who's going to make her feel like neon, and then like literally a heartbeat later, she's out at the Tower Farm, dancing her ass off, and I think it's Sammy who asks her, "Where's Michael?" And she's just like, "Do I even care?" or something like
Well, she
that.
does though.
And I'm just like, but she does, but I'm just like, you just made a case for this person making you like glow like neon or whatever, making you feel connected, and now you're dancing with every rando you can find, and you're not even connecting with them because you're turning them down. And it just kind of made, and then again, like that cat thing when she's in the barn, here she is
Mhm.
going kitten, kitten, kitten for like, I don't know, 45 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever it is. And then
Mhm.
finally she finds the cat, picks it up, and goes, "Oh, what am I doing? I hate
Well,
cats."
the
And I'm like,
cat is
okay.
kicked at her. That's another like
But I
there's
mean,
nothing weird about that. There's like cat just projectiling towards her.
like the dog voluntarily soaring through the window in Friday the Final Chapter, just like, "Oh, I'm
Yes.
out." But and the cat's just kind of like, "Oh God, just
Yeah.
against my will, I'm hurtling towards you through space." But
Hmm.
it does make an interesting case for like Tina as um a character of two minds, at least, shall we say, who can't really commit to anything that doesn't, I guess, kind of like buoy her up into this frothy, bubbly, you know, shallow facade of a person that loves to just dance around and giggle at
Mm.
things. And so I don't know, it makes her like a horrendously unreliable character because you can't trust anything that she says. Yet she does come through in the clutch. I don't think it necessarily, I don't see it as a redemption per se, but I just see it as like, oh, well, that was a good thing she was on the upswing when she decided to sacrifice herself for Jamie, telling her,
Hmm.
run, run, with her own little
Yeah.
death rattle and everything like that. But if she had been on the downswing, she might have just shoved Jamie. She might have pulled a Donald Pleasance and been like, "Here she is! I got her for you." So that's why I never saw it as a redemption. I just thought, well, she was just on an uptick. Like if she'd been feeling bad, she might have just sacrificed both of the kids. Just been like, "Here, take them. Just don't hurt me." I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I don't I wonder what her zodiac sign is.
Gemini? Twins?
Sure. Um, yeah, I don't like it's like she doesn't do anything to transgress, so it's like there's nothing to to redeem herself for,
Mm-mm.
whether it's just like, you consider not believing Jamie,
Mm.
or whatever earlier, or creating this situation, putting herself in peril where Jamie now had to come to her rescue.
Right.
So I mean, it's just a lot of shit happening. Like a lot of contrivances just lined up, and I think that it's hilarious when she does throw herself in front of the sword, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, Jamie's just sort of standing there like, no. And then Billy has to come in and he's like, come on, come on. And they're not running away. And Michael's just like, at this point, like Tina has fallen to the ground and she's
Yes.
like, run. And Michael is like, it's almost like that moment in, you mentioned Friday the 13th, the final chapter, where um Jason is like torn between like, do I follow
Oh,
Trish or do I follow Tommy? But it's
right.
like, but an even more lackadaisical version of that, because he's just sort of standing there and he's looking at Jamie, and like he could literally, like, he's close enough he could just go swipe at them.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks over at Tina and it's just like he's almost confused, like, what do I do? And then they take off, and not even moving very quickly, but that settles that. So actually, that is a criticism that I have for this movie, is that moment.
But I wonder if it was intentional. Obviously, they're buying time and they don't want him to kill the children, and
No.
they want to really like
Yeah.
stretch out, the mourning of Tina, the active mourning of immediate
Yes.
mourning of Tina. But um, because that's the way this director operates. But I do have to wonder if it was intentional, or if it just kind of works to the movie's benefit. If we're making a case for a Michael that is rushing toward his, what should we call it, a cathartic moment when he finds Jamie in the casket, like after she discovers, the corpse of Max. That's the most horrific one. I mean, Rachel, that's traumatizing as hell, but I would, oh my God, if I ever had to see my pet like hung,
Well,
strung up, in front of me, oh my God, I'd lose my shit.
let's
But
let's not get ahead of ourselves, because you're about to unpack like a huge thing here.
oh, okay.
So,
But I just
I
wonder if it's intentional, and we'll get to that when we get to
uh
it.
if it's intentional, I have no idea. I think that Michael is just like, he's slowed down in his ripe old age of 32.
Maybe that's what he
Um,
did between
yeah.
31 and 32, is a lot of like reflection about why he does what he does. And then came Halloween
Yeah.
time, he was like, well, I just gotta. And he
Yeah.
just did it, and he was just going through the motions, and maybe it hasn't been fulfilling the way it was back in the 70s for him, or even back when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like that thing that hooked him isn't there
Well,
anymore.
I mean, we also have, I mean, not that it makes any sense at this juncture, but we have the introduction of the thorn symbol, which is now burnt
Yes.
onto his wrist, which was not there in Halloween 4,
No.
but it's now suddenly it's materialized between this 1 year span, and we see that the Man
Yeah.
in Black has it as well. Again, more soap opera nonsense that
Yes.
they had no idea what they were doing.
Law.
Laurie
Yes.
Strode,
The law of
the
Strode,
Laurie
yes.
Strode. Um, can we talk about Billy? And then
Yeah.
we can get to
Little
the whole finale.
Billy. Okay, you have a thing.
Well, it's one moment that I've always just found hilarious, when and it's not the quote, it's not the line, but when they get to the Tower Farm and Michael has revealed himself in the car and turns on the headlights, and he's been chasing Tina, and
Yes.
Jamie comes running up with Billy, and Jamie's like, no, like, come after me, like, pick me, I'm
Right.
Spartacus.
Right.
and
Yes.
and Billy's just like, he's almost like, what, wait, no, no. What are you doing, you crazy bitch?
100%.
And
Yeah.
like, that's the way he's playing it, which it was just hysterical.
Yeah.
And then Michael goes after them, but then he chooses to go after Billy. And
Yes.
poor Billy, he stops,
Yes.
turns around to face the
Hmm.
car, and he's like waving like a air traffic, whatever,
Yes,
would like,
controller.
yeah,
Yes.
like, don't stop, you're gonna hit me. And then
No. I think he just yells no.
and or like David Arquette in Scream when the cars are coming, like freeze. It's like they can't hear you. But
Great.
he dives out of the way just in time. And then like the next time we see him, he's like having a seizure, like very much
Oh,
akin
right.
to what Jamie's having. And it's like, what are you
Hmm.
doing? What is happening to him right now?
Yeah, I didn't know that
And then
either.
when we see him later, when he comes to pull Jamie away, he's like got blood coming out of his mouth, which wasn't there before.
He was coughing up blood.
Yeah. He wasn't hit though.
No,
He did
he
a little
wasn't.
tumble and
Well, maybe
he's bleeding internally.
he tumbled into a rock, and
He,
it was one of those rocks that were being chucked over back at the child
oh,
care center, but
maybe.
the children's clinic. I'm sorry,
Yes, the
but
clinic.
no, because I'm glad you brought that up because it also created a question for me that I never asked when I watched this movie. Because the movie's got a movie, but aside from that reason that the movie's got a movie,
Mhm.
is there any reason to motivate Michael after he's oh, at what point is he taken out prior to that? Shit. What's the last thing we see him do? Fuck, I don't remember. Wait, did I write it
At what
down?
point in the movie?
Oh, it's okay. It's after the gas station
Yeah.
with the cocaine woman and all that. Oh my God, and we'll talk about that in a second. But
Yeah.
so with the cookie woman though, so he darts, he just speeds away.
Yeah.
And as far as I can remember, he's not really accounted for until he's at the Tower Farm.
Mhm.
What possessed him to go to the Tower Farm? Is it something that Tina says that we're going to the party at the Tower Farm so he knows where
Well,
to go?
what I gathered, because I
Yeah.
noticed this too, when they're at the convenience store and
Yeah.
Michael is doing his day stalking like he does in this movie, and he's like watching them from behind the leaves.
Right, 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 right.
Um, Tina says to Michael, like Michael,
Yeah.
pick me up at Rachel's house at around 7. So
Okay.
he would have discerned that information from watching like everything that they were talking about, like the party at the Tower
Yeah.
Farm and yada yada yada. Like, because that's the thing. Michael is like he's smart. He can
Right.
comprehend things that are happening
He
and he
might have been
knows what to do.
reminiscing, going, "Oh, the old Carruthers house. All right, I know where that
The
is."
old Tower Farm.
Right. So, okay, he knows where the Tower Farm is and he goes there. And he basically, as far as I can remember, like first really shows himself when he kills what's his Spitz, right?
Yeah.
And Sammy. So is he doing it because they're fucking and that's what he does? Like I don't know. I remember just thinking, I don't need it to make sense. I don't know, but just because this is a podcast and this is deciphering what's going on in the movie. I don't know. For the first time, it just kind of felt like I don't think there's any justifiable reason for him to be at the Tower Farm right now. Like and now all of a sudden it works because like he kills them. And then he goes after Tina and he goes after Billy and he goes after Jamie and we get that incredible shot, which is dangerous as fuck, but oh, that's my ride, the sirens. But we get that incredible
Sally, I
shot
can hear the
of
sirens.
yeah, right. No, we get that incredible shot of like poor Danielle Harris running like what 6 to 8 feet in front of a car. At
Mhm.
one point, I did see they sped the film up, so she must not have been running as fast, and the car might not have been going as fast. But in other shots, I'm just kind of like, that's dangerous. If she would have tripped,
Yeah.
you got to rely on the person driving, behind the wheel to like pick up on that, slam on the
I think
brakes,
that was
and
Don Shanks driving too. I could be wrong,
oh
but
my God, no.
I mean, if he was like a stunt, like I think he's just like one of those like do it all stunt
Yeah.
performers. He's like, I can do stunt driving, you know.
Yeah. As long as it's going to damage the little girl, put me in the put me in coach. But I don't know. It was just something that kind of stood out to me. Aside from like it makes the movie flow more easily. I couldn't find a justifiable reason for him to go to the Tower Farm.
Well, I think just
So
like he's trying to thin out the herd, you know.
okay. And also, I mean, I think it's been
The
said, but
tribe, one of the numbers been butchered. This is
exactly.
awake.
It's awake. But this is also I get such a kick out of the fact that like number one, just the Cookie Woman scene when as we're being as she's and Billy is discerning what she's saying and stuttering it out, and Loomis is just there going, "Whoa, what? There's a big woman working in the store." I can't. I always lose my
Well,
shit.
could we do? We were talking about it before, but what the Cockney version of
Oh,
it would be? The biscuits.
the biscuit. There's a biscuit. What did we say? Oh, a biscuit
Biscuit
bird, because a young, attractive woman is a bird when you're when you're English. So
lady.
a biscuit lady, a biscuit bird.
Alas.
There's a biscuit lass, is there? But what does that mean? But anyway, so they go to the biscuit lady,
How do
and
we
I just
use this?
wait a minute, there was a lady made of cookies. How do we use that? But I just love the fact that like Billy's there going like big woman cookie woman and everything. And immediately after Loomis is lost going, okay, woman, you get cut to some cop, some rando going like, I believe he says, Bill's gas station, 5th and Main. And I'm like, okay, that little like cardboard cutout. If it had been like a giant statue of like a big attractive woman holding like a giant cookie, like a landmark, I would have understood that. Even if it was like not like maybe a little taller than life size, like, 2 or 3 feet higher, then it's a landmark to me. But the fact that it was just like she's just a thing on the door, among other things that are advertising other things for that store, and the fact that anybody would be able to discern that, it adds to the camp level for me
Well, I mean,
because
it is Haddonfield. It's a small town. They got all this shit, but I
they
mean,
have one gas station.
yeah, but you must have gone in there. Maybe he goes there to get cookies or
Maybe
donuts every night, like
Maybe he could understand because he saw the woman. He's just like, oh, that's a cookie woman. Maybe
that's a
there's a
cookie woman,
legend
yeah.
of the cookie woman. Maybe it's like Haddonfield cookies, and she's like the Haddonfield cookie woman,
Yeah.
and that's
I'm just like
why.
I'm sad that there was no references in like the new movies to all of this shit. Like they could have just had a similar cookie woman
Yeah.
sign billboard somewhere.
Oh, or even
I
just
would have
somebody like snack.
appreciated that.
Yeah, if somebody would have been snacking on cookies that had like the Cookie Woman like
Yeah.
logo on it, and they're just like eating like Fig Newtons or something, that would have been great.
Yeah.
But okay,
Well, not
so
fig Newtons. Are you mad? Ew.
sorry, biscuits. But excuse me.
Crumpets.
Crumpets and tea.
Mm.
There would be no way that there could be tea time in Haddonfield. They couldn't be English because they're too running scared all the time. But also, wanted to say one thing that I noticed about just like the killing off, or just everything about like the little trio of teens question mark that we
Yeah.
follow in this movie,
Yeah.
because Michael
Well,
dies too
there's
early, Mikey.
yeah,
But he dies early, so this is
sure.
about later when they're on the Tower Farm. I just wrote a note here. Spitz's laugh could kill the most desperate person's boner. And,
Well, he's like a
and
Batman villain.
I know. I mean, but again, when Frank Gorshin does it as the Riddler, I get a kick, out of it. Every
Yeah.
Joker except maybe Jared Leto, but it had its own thing going with his
Mm.
ah. It always kind of reminds me of Phyllis Diller, so it's all right. But with this one, I just wrote, and Spitz and Sammy's, because we talked about the death noises earlier. This is one place
Yeah.
where the sound design is not my favorite thing because
Mm.
their sex noises are so gross. And I am an ASMR baby. Like I can get the tingles, I can hear the whisper, I can hear like the rattling around of like, nails and stuff, although it has to be
Mm.
calmer. I don't like it when people go, "Welcome to my ASMR channel." And it's just like that's not soothing at all. You're just noise
Mm.
in my ears. Anyway, but with them, it's all of this like lip smacking and mm, oh, and it's just oh, gross. It's just like listening to like two really hungry people like finish off a box of chocolates together or something. It's not.
Maybe they're doing a
It's
mukbang.
yeah, it's not sexy to me at all,
Um,
but
do you remember what our original cherry picker was for Halloween 5. So when we did the old podcast,
No.
which is only available on Patreon, but this was
Right.
like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And when we invented it wasn't called the cherry picker at that point, but just sort of like the pollage, if you will, at the end. And we would just have a random question. Do you remember what it was for this
No,
one?
not at all. What was it?
I believe it was what was the worst thing that happened to Sammy on Halloween night, losing her virginity to Spitz or getting killed.
I mean, she seemed happy, but
Well, she
momentarily
was doing
again,
that thing where she was like biting her lip,
yeah,
you know.
and like
She was
looking
like, "Ooh,
skyward while he was putting
yeah,
his condom on and just kind of going, "Oh my God, it's
it's
happening." I don't get
happening."
it though, because number one, she can do so much better, and number two, he seems more like Tina's kind of guy. Because the two of them, maybe they need to find people who are more rooted in reality, because they're so
Well,
flighty and they don't know what they're doing half the time.
I
Like they're
just
horrible
imagine that
people.
like Dominique Othen Gerard was probably like in his like European version of America, he probably wanted like blonde on blonde. You know, like
Maybe.
only blonde people can date and sleep with other blonde people.
I do remember hearing, I think it was on one of the commentaries, that the original plan for the costumes was that Sammy was going to be dressed as the French maid and Tina was going to be dressed as the devil. And
Mm,
when they tried them on, neither one of them really felt like they were their characters, so they swapped and they both felt perfect. And I'm like, oh, that
yeah,
feels like a good change. Like it works
yeah.
for me.
There's also that Idle Hands. Remember the blonde girl in that was the same costume as Sammy.
Oh, right,
We're just like giving us
yeah.
flashbacks of Halloween 5.
100%.
Yeah.
But oh, but I did write in terms of even though I hate the sex noises that they make, I did write I dig the kill just as a comment on the illusion of safety though, because here he's doing the responsible thing, even though they're not sleeping on the satin sheets that she borrowed from Rachel because they're not in the
No, they're
house.
doing it on hay.
I know,
Like this is a Russ
gross.
Meyer film or
Lay all
something.
the blankets you want. You're still going to be on hay. There's bugs in it. There's flies in there. Like barns don't smell good, folks. So anyway, there's that. All of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's kind of making the right decision in terms of like getting the condom out and putting it on and everything like that. But I don't know. It just kind of felt like even though they made the quote unquote right decision, it still like there's no such it reminded me of one of the questions in Sex and the City where Carrie's typing on her little paragraph and at the end she says, "Is sex ever really safe?" And I was like, it's not just sex, but it's like, is anything safe in this movie? And the answer is no, because Michael's gonna get you. So I appreciated that.
Well,
Then
I hope that Sammy spits.
Oh, no.
What was there's also and this was kind of something that is an allusion made in Halloween Resurrection, but you've got a person, and this is almost like the opposite of what you're talking about of like Michael role
Mm,
playing. You have someone role playing as Michael. So in this case, it is Spitz
right.
pretending to be Michael Myers, and then we had Busta Rhymes, Freddy pretending to be Michael in
Yes, yes.
Resurrection. Did it happen again? What other movies? I mean, well, we
I
have it in four with those. You thought it was
yeah,
me,
and we have it in two with Ben Tramer, even though he
but
didn't know he was Michael Myers,
yeah,
but
no,
yeah.
that doesn't count.
No. But yeah, so I guess those are the only examples. But every time it's done, like, oh, you know what? I mean, none of those guys have names. I don't think, do they? Somebody said a name of someone, I think. But of all the guys who were like
Yeah,
walking around like mocking the visage of Michael Myers, why didn't either of us pick them to die? Any one of them
Who-
deserved to die for what they
yeah,
were doing, because that's
yeah.
shitty, you know? Anyway, but I do have to say like uh I still can't shake your let's hope Sammy spits. But
Yeah. Oh, Corey
but
Cunningham, Grant
oh right, Corey
Miles,
Cunningham, of
yeah,
course, of
the
course.
biggest offender of the Michael impersonation.
Well, or even just like Little Michael in the Rob Zombie movie. And the boyfriend like putting the mask on and everything, like who knows. But
Oh, right.
yeah,
No,
but
he puts the sheet on.
Did he put the? But didn't he put the mask on at one point? No. Oh, you're right. You're
No,
right.
it's
Okay,
just
I gotta
yeah.
watch it again. I see.
The Rob Zombie Bob was doing the ghost
No, but
thing.
I mean Judith's boyfriend. Didn't he wear the mask first, and then Michael
Oh
found
yeah,
it
he
like,
brought it
yeah, he
over, but
brought it, and then
it hadn't
it wasn't Michael's.
it
Yeah, it
hadn't
wasn't Michael's
become
yet.
the shape
It
yet.
was just a creepy mask. Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Sartain too.
Oh,
That's
right.
strong.
See, some of these
Look,
are really forgettable.
we don't like that's the thing. Like anything from the new trilogy, I've already kind of like it's melted away.
I mean,
Yeah.
Corey Cunningham every day, every night, but there
Yeah.
we made that pod anyway. But there was something I
Well,
want. Yeah,
well,
go
yeah, we are
ahead, go
just
ahead.
talking about how he's pretending to be Michael, and the
Yes.
cops are like gonna shoot him, and it's
Jeez.
all a big practical joke.
Also, he was pretending to be Michael, like, and he legitimately scared Sammy right before she, like, and I'm glad there isn't
Yeah.
terminology like this, but at the time they would have said right before she kind of gives her virginity to him. And I'm just like, and the way he kind of coaxes her into it is just by wrapping his arms around her and engulfing her in a kiss, which feels like a very bygone era of cinema. Like where, oh, that's so romantic. No, that's not. That's really kind of toxic and scary. But
Yeah.
so yeah. But I also I'm shocked that Sammy was in on that scare. Maybe she hated those cops, but she didn't strike me as the kind of girl. She seemed to have a better head on her shoulders
Mm.
than Tina, certainly, but I guess
Well, she
she's,
was even the one that was like saying to Tina, like,
yeah,
I thought we were gonna visit
right. And
Jamie.
when they're all over each other, she like rolls her eyes and gets in the car anyway. Maybe that's her weakness, is that she's kind of just an agreeable sheep at
Mm.
her core, is Sammy. No strength of will.
Michael puts his mask on Win in the producer's cut of six, right? And the paramedic in H2O. Okay, we're forgetting a lot of shit here.
That's true. Oh my
But that wasn't they
God.
were doing it of their own volition, so it's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Um, okay. Are we ready to unpack the thing?
Do we want to get to the big climactic battle?
Well, because
Absolutely.
because this is a thing.
Mhm.
There's something about it. Like, okay, well, it's paved the way. Like I already mentioned the car, and I really actually kind of appreciate that whole chase scene, everything like leading the way to it. I
Yeah.
appreciate even the reveal at the end of the way we reveal Michael is still alive is after the crash, like after the collision, he is leaning on the horn, and everybody's kind of like heaving a sigh of relief. And I still go, "Ah," when all of a sudden the horn stops honking, and you just
Yeah.
see Jamie's reaction, like, "Oh shit!" And I'm like, "Yes, okay, that's good filmmaking. I like that." Um, but then, okay, so we get to the part where she's bait. And all I could think was, well, she's with that cop. I forget his name.
Charlie.
The Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie, the sweet guy.
Charlie.
He's sitting there calling her a brave little girl and everything. And at one point when they have to exit, I just thought like he smashes a window and takes her on his back, and I'm like, oh my God, here we are back again. Like she's riding piggyback on someone as they take her out of like a second story or a third story, who knows? Like if, for this house,
Mhm.
of the house to be dragged, and thank God they didn't go the same route. But I appreciated kind of like the parallel there with four, and with what Rachel does. But then Michael bursts through the door, and it all takes a turn. I love, I think the centerpiece, the horror centerpiece for me of this whole movie is the laundry chute. When
Oh, absolutely.
when she tumbles down, because number one, I don't remember a lot of laundry chute sequences in a lot of other horror movies. So
No.
it's got that. I mean, there's a dumbwaiter later in H2O, but that's
Yeah.
after the fact, and it's a dumbwaiter. But
Yeah, it's a little bit
just,
different. It's a little
yeah,
geography's a
but kind of
little
like old school thing that you don't really see built in modern, architecture anymore.
I think that this
Um,
is probably like in terms of like the chase scenes of this
mhm.
franchise, like one of the best.
Yeah,
I was really like the
because
the one in Halloween too, like after the nurse's shoes drop. I think
oh
that's my
yeah,
favorite, and then this one probably.
yeah, 100%. Because this is the thing. I love the way the laundry shoot sequence is staged, number one, and I love the way it is shot. They're two different things because staging is just kind of like how you plot it out in terms of like the blocking for the actors, and then the cinematography of it, I appreciate as well because there's like one shot of Jamie's face that's like a quick zoom as she's looking up and Michael's looking
Yeah,
down at her. And it just kind of it just adds this really kinetic energy to everything that's going on. It's so amplified.
very
And then,
European.
yes, and
Yeah.
also I think it's acted superbly, particularly by Danielle Harris. And I understand, again, there were a few shots where they pushed that knife through that chute where
Mhm.
she was on the other side of it, and you can see kind of like a shin or the gauze of her skirt or something like that, but there's no reason for her to be there. They could have held the doll or the dress
Well,
alone.
that was they did have a prosthetic leg, so that's what you're seeing.
Oh, that's the leg.
And
Okay.
yeah, and there was a shot where she gets stabbed in the leg and they had to
Okay.
remove it because I
Okay.
guess it was just too gruesome considering that she's like this young girl. But when she comes
Right.
out of when like she climbs up and comes out of the thing, you can see that her leg is all bloody because she has
Right,
been
right, right, right,
stabbed in the
right.
leg.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And you
I
can always
also
just
think
think like
that
she scraped it on the metal or something.
yeah, like I also think that it's set up really well because we establish it earlier in the film, so we know that it is there.
Yeah.
And then we also know that like Loomis has locked it, so like, she falls to the bottom of it and
Oh,
just like there's no escape.
also, there's kind of nothing but joy for me from the laundry shoot. I mean, cinematic joy because,
Mhm.
like you're saying, when they set it up with Loomis like opening it up and finding the dead opossum in it, it's again a little thing that I love to see attention paid to these characters. Loomis, for me, we talked about it with the last one, has kind of like a moment of joy sitting in the car with the Reverend, just kind of smiling as he's singing. And before that, it's the "Get your ass away from there." And in this one, it's probably the most manic one yet because he opens the chute, out pops the rats and the opossum, and he just falls back and he looks at it and he just kind of goes. And just, like has this elated moment from something that would probably horrify anybody else. And yeah, I just kind of love that he can still find pockets in the day, but he's also still like it speaks to the wearing thin of his
Mm,
sanity, of his grip, like he's a little mad now. But it's a moment of levity for me. But anyway,
yeah.
so
Well,
yes,
I just everything about this sequence, just not the
yes,
the laundry chute, but just like the climax of the setting in the house is just so
yes.
absolutely ridiculous because this is all like contingent on uh this scheme or sting operation, if you will, of just like let's get
Right.
like this isn't even just like the Haddonfield police force anymore. This is like heavy duty tactical squads
Yeah.
coming into the house. And clearly, they have not done a sufficient sweep of the property because they didn't go anywhere near the attic. They didn't
Nope.
see the hundreds of lit candles that are like illuminating the fucking upstairs of this house
Yeah.
that are
The
leading
corpses of
to
Max
the
and Michael and
and
Rachel.
Rachel, or this coffin that is where we find out earlier in the film has been
Yes.
unearthed from the
Yes.
graveyard, a child's coffin,
A
which Michael,
nine-year-old girl.
which
Yes.
Michael has somehow like transported and just like lugged all the way up the stairs
Just like
into
Judith
the attic.
Myers' headstone. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got the photo from the cracked frame of Jamie
Yes.
hovering over. So
Yes.
it's like Loomis has this like brilliant idea to have everything culminate in the house, and little does anyone know Michael was anticipating that they were going to end up there, and he'd already set everything up there for them to find. So I think that it's just hilarious that that happened, but also the fact that nobody of this tactical team
Hmm.
like had the presence of mind to go and investigate this house and find any of that shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing is like Loomis knows what's happening. Like he's like baiting the cops to get out of there and he's destroying um police equipment. Like, how many walkie-talkies does he just
He's just
like
chucking them away. He
chucking
loves to
them, and
just,
he takes
yeah.
Charlie's Charlie. Um, so yeah, it's just like he's setting this trap, and like that's the thing. It's like, did Loomis put that metal net thing up, or did the cops do it? Because it's just, I have so many questions, you know?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'd
Where'd he
like to
get the dart
think.
gun?
Yeah, right. He's probably just been acquiring things over the years, knowing this night would come.
Yeah.
And he says that about every night, every
Yeah.
Halloween night. But
Yeah.
as long as there's a Halloween night to come and Michael isn't like in pieces that are, charred beyond recognition, he's
Yeah.
probably gonna, be collecting things all year. But
Hmm.
oh my God, which actually kind of makes him an interesting mirror of Michael Myers, who's like, looking past the wall, not seeing the wall, seeing only tonight. That he's
Yeah.
become like him. Which, okay, speaking of being like people, what do you make of Jamie laying in the casket? Michael enters. He's about to stab her because she can't play dead.
Hmm.
And she just says, "Uncle," and it stops him. I remember I think my heart stopped when I saw that moment for the first time. I was just kind of like, because I saw it stop him, and I was like, is this how we unnerve him? We appeal to
Hmm.
the kinship? Like, is that what Lori never did? She stopped him once when she said Michael, when she called him by his name, because she
Hmm.
finally understood who he was. And he just kind of tilted his head in two. And then, he had his eyes shot out. But anyway, but she says, Uncle, Boogeyman, let me see. You're just like me. Let me. And then he just flips out and goes right back to, I have to destroy everything, kind of
Yeah.
guy. And she has to run from him. So I want to know, what do you make of that moment?
Oh, it's fucking ridiculous. The well, it seems like the impetus of all this is that, like, we want to unmask Michael. Like, that was the big thing, and like they advertised it on the video. It's just like,
Hmm.
this time Michael is unmasked. Which, I mean, yeah, but we don't see his face. We actually see his face more clearly, and I noticed, like, in the new 4K edition,
Sure,
when
sure.
he's sits up, when he's at the beginning of the movie in the hermit shack, which I've
Yes,
like
yes.
never noticed before because it's always been so grainy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it when he takes off the mask, it's so shadowy.
Hmm.
We've seen his face in the first movie
Yeah.
already. So I think that it was all just sort of like this contrived scenario to like get, like a buzz quote or something on the poster or the back of the VHS box, so they could get people to see the movie. I don't think it means anything. I don't read into it very much at all.
Yeah, it's kind of struck me that there was more. I feel like there were attention to certain details. I've covered a few so far, but there was an inattention to one kind of detail that the first movie paid to, which was like when his mask comes off and we see his face pretty clearly, especially in HD, it's really clear. You can see that there's like some kind of like prosthetic like covering his eyelid because he's been stabbed in the eye with, a
Mhm.
fucking wire hanger or a yeah, that's the wire hanger. So here, um, we're post Halloween 2, where he's been shot in both eyes.
Hmm.
And yet he's regenerated, I guess, since, the last 11 years. Because there's a
Hmm.
close up of his eye with a tear coming out of it, and the eye is pristine. Like it's
Yeah.
just perfect. Like you would never think anything had ever happened to it. So I'm like, oh, well, that might have been a nice touch if there'd been like, I don't know, like a little scar on the lid or up here, somewhere. But because also I don't really need the close up either. I remember the first time I saw it, I was just kind of like, what is happening? I saw that tear shot and I was like, what is happening? Well, they did not earn this. This is not. And this brings me to a reference that I said was coming to Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I actually think carried out a similar moment much more effectively, which is when he's basically kind of like abducted Lori, scouts Lori, and he just kind of shows her the photo of him holding her as a baby. he takes off the mask and just kind of slumps and just sits there inactive, just kind of like, I don't know who I am. I don't know how to connect to anything. My heart doesn't beat like neon. My heart isn't made of neon. And but he just feels like this is the last time I kind of remember being happy, and you're the only person who I kind of know. But she has no idea what's going on. So it creates all this confusion and it creates this interesting dynamic in that moment. I think that's a strong moment for that movie and for that Michael Myers. The antithesis of it for me is this moment in this movie, because I have to work on my own headcanon again, which I love doing, which is why this movie isn't really a chore for me sitting through it. But I had to suppose, particularly in this screening, watching it with a critical eye, um, I just had to wonder, like, okay, did he spend the whole year kind of like mulling it over? So he's just not fulfilled, so he does feel lost, and he doesn't even know why he's trying to kill Jamie anymore, because maybe he's getting the same visions she's getting, and we're just not privy to them because he's the heavy of the movie. But maybe, like, like he knows that he's kind of possessing her, and also because of it wasn't written yet, but because of what we learn about the Thorn cult and about how he's essentially possessed, like Michael Myers, the boy, is possessed by another presence that takes over and does the killing. So it makes me wonder if there's like this weird kinship, aside from the blood relative of it all, if there's like a weird kinship he feels because she's going through something similar to what he went through when he was a boy. So maybe that's why he feels softness and can cry. I mean, it's so stupid. But and
Yeah.
it's not like my explanation makes it make sense. It's not like, oh, well, now that moment happens for me. It's just a really poorly planned and executed moment, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, Grant is saying that he likes it and he likes what the director has to say about it too.
Oh,
So, if you don't mind elaborating on that,
yeah.
because I don't remember what Dominique
I
Othenen-Girard
don't,
had to
that did
say
not,
about that.
whatever he
But
said, it didn't stick with me like the other
but
things did.
but I like what I love about this whole sequence is just like how again like the gothic vibe of it all. And
Sure.
like we're suddenly in this like hammer castle and Jamie is almost like being beckoned up these steps by the candlelight. And
Right.
I always find
Sleeping
it
Beauty.
hilarious. Peeping Beauty? What?
Sleeping Beauty
Oh,
following the light up the steps.
oh, cool. Um, the
Sorry.
I always find it hilarious that Jamie walks up and we see the chair behind her,
Yeah.
to her right. There's nothing in it, nobody's in it, and then Jamie bumps into, I forget the sequence. I think first she bumps into Mike because that's just
Yes.
that doesn't
No,
get
it's
any
Max.
fanfare.
First it's Max, isn't it?
Well, however it happens,
Okay.
Mike does not get any fanfare. She's just sort of like, ah, and then Max, like, Max, and then she
Right.
turns around and now materialized suddenly
Is
where she wasn't
Rachel.
before is Rachel's body slumped in this chair, which visibly was not seen when we walked past it,
It would have
not
been
not
funny.
20 seconds earlier.
It would have been funny if underneath her armpits she had like a rope, and there was like a rope going up behind her, like he just lowered her on a pulley system,
Yeah,
like just at the key moments so she could be revealed
yeah.
perfectly. Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
But I love like it kind of creates this like supernatural fantasy element of it. It's like she was there, but like in Jamie's perspective of things, she wasn't because she wasn't aware of her presence yet. So we
Right.
just didn't see her at that point. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, way to Kubrick and shining your movie. But Grant answered here is elaborating, saying that the director said in one interview to humanize him, to give him a tear, if evil, or in this case, our boogeyman, knows pain or love, to demonstrate a feeling of regrets, he becomes even more scary to me if he pursues his malefic action. He shows an evil determination beyond his feelings. I mean, I can see that in the, like, again, the intent on paper as I'm watching the scene. I just don't feel like it was executed in an effective way.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I but I see what he was going for, and I admire that. So
Yeah.
there you go. But
And
yeah, then
yeah, and
the
then they're thrashing about for a bit, and she
yes,
runs into the arms of who
her
we would
savior.
perceive to be her protector.
The Van Helsing
And
of the movie. Surely he's going to protect me. Yeah.
this is just like the operatic heights of Loomis
Yes.
just being the craziest motherfucker ever, and just like, you want your little girl, well, come and get her.
Hmm.
And it's I feel like so much of this movie is ad-libbed. They're just like, there's no lines. He's like, get your little girl.
Well, I mean, that's another thing about you mentioned like, this being your favorite perhaps of Loomis's performances, of Donald Pleasance's performances
Pleasances,
as
yeah.
Loomis. And I wrote down so many lines of his. I feel like we've already said a bunch of them, but I just wrote down like, right, right, right. Tell me what you know, Jamie, please. And have you for? Oh, I loved this when he said it to Sheriff. What's his name? I can't even remember his name. From
Meeker.
Meeker. Thank you. When he says it to him, he's just like, "Have you forgotten your own daughter?" And the guy like gets like, "Don't you fucking talk about my daughter!" And gets like he's gonna hit him. And he says, "I haven't forgotten my name." He's just kind of like, "No, of course you don't forget." And I'm just kind of like, "Oh, so you're just egging him on just to get him."
Hmm.
You knew if you hit a trigger phrase for him that it would make him kind of lose it, so you can say, "Of course, I see this in you because you're a good man. Now do what I
Hmm.
tell you,"
She
kind of
was
thing.
shaking her whole
Yeah.
body.
And of course, the one that I opened with, the I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart I knew that hell would not have him. That is an ace
It's
line. Uh,
poetry. Yeah.
that is just, I mean, talk about gothic. Talk about just like, you can feel
Hmm.
just the pull between good and evil that has lasted beyond centuries, that is now kind of like manifest in this tiny little story with
Hmm.
lines like that. And that really plays up again like his kind of Van Helsing angle. Like I would
Yeah.
not be surprised if a line like that came out of Van Helsing's mouth in
Yeah.
any of the Dracula movies. And oh God, what were the other one? I wrote a bunch like, oh, I just when he's of course, what about your stepmother, Jamie? You love her, don't you? You made you stab her. But many words are about the 9-year-old girl coffin dug up. Um, oh, and I also wrote, why is mom still alive? I was like, I would have understood more if mom, maybe they didn't want us to antagonize, like for the audience to feel antagonized by Jamie. And they thought if
Mm.
the mom died, then they'd feel less like they could trust her. They feel less sympathy for her. But that would actually make me feel more because she's not the reason she killed her. So anyway, whatever.
Mm.
Especially with the route the story takes and everything. Okay, but there's another thing that he says where he talks about there's a reason why he has this power over you. Have you ever wondered what it is? And then we cut to the man in black kicking a puppy, like it's going to be some big reveal. And again, like it seems there's a plan. It seems, but as I understand it, the man in black was just introduced, and they thought, well, we'll fill in the blanks later on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
I think there
no
was like an
rhyme or reason behind
idea
it.
because it was Don Shanks was also playing the Man in Blacks, that it was like this idea that it was Michael's twin brother.
Oh God.
They could have had Nurse Marion show up to Loomis and be like, "There's another file. I've seen every file. You already said there was a file. No,
And
there's
that's,
another
yes.
file. Another file that nobody knew about."
I love your cadence. And that is soap opera, which is
Yeah.
exactly what this movie is. Because that's another thing. It's just like, yeah, the final battle and everything like that. We talked about the chains and the this and the that and the collapsing, but there's that one point where I think it's toward the end where I think it's Sheriff Meeker, maybe, is telling Jamie like he's dead, you're safe, or something like that, and she just says, "He'll never die." And
No,
I just,
he's shackled. He's in the prison cell, and
oh,
he's
okay.
like he'll remain in prison till the day he
Until
dies.
the day he dies. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just
Yeah.
wrote her line because I just love the look on Jamie's face because I'm just like, well, you're right. I mean,
Mhm.
you've been in the franchise long enough now, and you've gotten enough of your cognizance back. So now, like, the true final girl can play through. And can we just talk about the bleakness of the ending because this is another case, kind of like with the last movie we spoke about with Halloween 4. So many people hate the ending of that movie, and I think it's like the most exciting part of the whole movie. For
People hate the
me,
ending of Halloween 4.
yeah, of Halloween 4. Now,
Oh,
for this
that's
one,
news to me.
oh yeah, no, I had so many conversations with people who were just going, and it was so stupid when she like dressed up like Michael and she stabbed him and they just did the opening scene all over again. I'm like, you thought that was stupid? I thought it was masterful with how many allusions to the original movie, the fourth movie made. I thought that was one that they actually totally nailed, and I always get
Mm.
a little shot of adrenaline when I see the end when she's just standing there, kind of heaving with the bloody scissors. Anyway, this ending disappointed the masses by and large, and okay. I was of two minds about the opening. I'm of two minds about this as well because on the one hand, I love the bleakness of it. I love just kind of like the place in tatters and and the bar's broken, like this otherworldly kind of thing, and she's just taking it all in after she already knows she's screwed and she's probably going to have to deal with this, but maybe a year from now. She didn't know it was going to continue this same night. And you just hear Danielle Harris crying and just going, no, 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 no. And the hopelessness of it, just, it's a chef's kiss moment for me because, again, I turn to these slasher movies not to see the evil defeated, but to see somebody keep it at bay and weaken it, but to ultimately understand that you can never destroy it. It will exist
Mm.
as long because evil has always existed. It will always exist. So you can only just kind of like keep it at bay and weaken it a little bit. But that at the same time, while I kind of dug it, I do have to say, even with this screening, I watched it 3 times because I fell asleep twice, just watching Danielle Harris move from the exterior through the shambles and the dead bodies and the whatnot and the fire and the whatnot.
Mm.
It takes so much time for her to assess the damage that I dozed off twice. So
Mm. This was the longest running time for a Halloween movie until the Rob Zombie films.
How long is this movie?
I think
I
it's
didn't
about
even look.
100 minutes, maybe a
Okay,
little
so hour
less.
40.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
let me double
Oh,
check.
that was another thing that I actually again, I can be of two minds of it, but a criticism I had is because yet again, even though it's a different director, we have a Halloween 4 problem here for me, which is like she moves I guess it works better here, but all of
96
this car
minutes.
all of this carnage, it all happened off screen. I
Mhm.
understand why more so here, but I'm like, how many times are we going to be cheated of watching? I guess because it's not Michael. I guess it's because it's the Thorn Cult doing it predominantly. Like he probably did his thing, that did what he could,
Yeah,
took a shot, but why? Why can't we stage these elaborately violent group scenes? Is it that expensive? Is it like it'll pay off for the movie? Do they not understand that? Anyway, so that's why
yeah,
this isn't, you know.
yeah. Well, we do see, I think it's in the producer's cut of 6, he's in his shackles and being like loaded into a van.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember, and she and just kind of like milling by, and doesn't she kind of like watch them drive off or something? We'll have
Well,
to
they
watch it
they
again.
they grab her too because they
They grab her too. That's
yeah, that's
right,
part
because
of
they're going to
the
do the
story.
whole
Yeah.
ceremony, but that's another
Six
pod.
six years later, yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, I think that we've exhausted all the Halloween 5 talk proper, and we should probably mosey on over into the cherry picker.
It's not like we kill people on purpose.
All right, first order of business, we need a cherry on top. What are your thoughts?
I'm cool with um I love them both, so I'm cool with either Danielle Harris or Donald Pleasance, or shall I say, Dr. Loomis or Jamie Lloyd. But I'm trying to imagine the movie without either of them. And because Jamie does so little, I love what she does with what she does, but because she does so little, because Loomis is such a mad freak, I feel like it's got to be Donald Pleasant's Dr. Loomis. Yeah. How about you?
It's his time to shine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it was when we picked Jamie for Halloween 4. I don't
Okay.
remember 1 and 2.
I don't either. Amethyst?
Amethyst, um, all right. Well, while Amethyst is getting that information for us, thank you. Last week we asked you who deserves to die the most in Halloween 4. I nominated Kyle, aka Bully Kid.
Oh, right.
You nominated Brady
Right.
across Patreon, Instagram, and YouTube. The final tally was 365 for Kyle versus 215 for Brady.
Wow, that's more than I expected from me. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys.
Let's hear what the peeps have to say. Blue box. If you see a kid or a doctor, health worker in one of these polls, you know they deserve the vote. F that little effer Kyle and his whole bully group. Oh, the horror. Kyle should have been Jamie's first kill. Let's be honest. Actually, fuck all those kids. What they said to Jamie was foul. Brady is a dick, but at least he tried to redeem himself. Got himself killed in the process, so I feel like Kyle deserves my vote. Anyway, love the podcast. Would love to see you two cover the When a Stranger Calls franchise. Not even a
Ooh.
franchise. I guess there's what, 3?
I only know about two. Is there a third one?
Well, the remake.
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
Ow. Amethyst is telling us Annie for Halloween 1, Loomis for Halloween 2, Connell Cochran for Halloween 3, Jamie
Yeah.
for Halloween 4, Loomis
Five.
for this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying on top of things. We haven't done 6 yet, so Lori for H2O,
Yes.
Jim for Halloween 8. Which one is Jim?
I don't even remember.
I
In
think
Resurrection?
Jim is the guy who's like got the crinkly, Chucky Michael Myers. He's like, "Hey Donna,
Oh,
what time do your legs open?
with the
Would
curly
that
hair.
would that be 1 o'clock?"
Yeah, the one in
Yeah,
Mrs.
that guy.
Maisel, the one who's really sexy. I like
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
yeah. Julian, little Julian for Halloween 2018. The kid
Mm,
that is being babysat.
right.
Lindsay for Halloween Kills, and Corey for
Yes.
Halloween.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a good reminder for all of us. Uh, Amethyst is saying it's resurrection. Nobody remembers or cares.
Somebody does. I know people who have some affection for that movie, and
All right, moving on.
more
Molly
power to you.
Molly Lolly. Absolutely going with Kyle on this one. Brady was a huge ass, but he at least tried to do the right thing and died in the process. F that little booger head. Amethyst Frost. I like how the cherry pickers for 4 of the Halloween movies so far, 1, 3, 4, and Kills, have had a minor, annoying kid character as an option. And that I voted for them all. And I do it again.
Nice.
Maybe we can do it again here.
Eh.
Thomas Baker, for sure, Kyle. Adrian Phillips, strategic choice with the thumbnail. The way Kyle mask sits in it kind of reminds me of Kid Myers from RZH1. That shit really pisses me off. If Rob Zombie directed Halloween 4, the fuck off Wade scene would be of Jamie Lloyd's journey to the pharmacy for her fucking prescriptions. She needs them, bitch. Okay.
That's fun.
Whistlar Stud. Jamie's an orphan in all caps.
That's supposed to be sung. You're
B.
supposed to sing that line.
Jamie's
Jamie's
an
an orphan.
orphan.
So awful.
B. Spencer. Got to go with Brady for this one. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, but Zach said fuck you to someone else, so I'm voting for Eddie's pick out of spite. Well, fuck you, B. Spencer.
I love how personal these
Just
get.
keep, yeah,
And
make it personal.
you're saying fuck you to the listeners. I love it.
We got, we got to keep them on their toes, you know.
We're all just people. We're all just people at the end of the day.
The Blake Parade. Fuck Brady. I don't care. His final moments are not redemption to me. It's just basic humanity.
Oh.
Total rotals. One of my most hated things in film slash TV is when someone is bullied because they have a dead parent. It's such bizarre writing that always pisses me off. Die Kyle. Jazzy Boo, I voted for Brady. I don't know why. I can't even remember him, but I should have voted for Kyle because then I could have said, fuck them kids. Excuse me. Could have said, fuck them kids, but oh well. Mick SX is swag. Kyle said Jamie's mommy is a mommy. He definitely can go for sure. Con, at least the kid knows he's evil. Brady tries to act all sweet and innocent, then bam, horny asshole.
Nice point.
Robert Holston, Sasha Jensen, who plays Brady, was in Dazed and Confused. After Donald Pleasance, he might be the most high-profile cast member in Halloween 4.
Hmm.
I'm assuming that that means he was your pick.
You love
James
it
Morant. When
when
there's an when
when
there's
there's
an
any kind of vagueness, and he just kind of like, well, but it doesn't tell us who you voted for, but thank
or
you for
or as you would say, an ambiguity.
ambiguity or
An
ambiguity.
ambiguity.
Good.
It's an ambiguity. James Morant. Brady redeemed himself, saving Rachel and Jamie. Kyle was a bully who made Jamie cry. No ambiguity there.
Yeah, where did that voice come
Mr.
from?
K. Churns. Oh, you want to go back to Chucky?
No, you were
Nothing
fine.
to
No,
do.
I like the fine gentleman, the English gent.
Nothing to do with the vote, but if the Strodes didn't want to take care of Jamie because they are terrible foster parents, what about their father's family? Were they all dead or didn't want her either? Jamie Lloyd has to be one of the most tragic characters in cinema. Grant Dempsey. Kyle's a corpse. Kyle's a corpse. Kyle's a corpse. Kyle's a corpse.
Oh,
I think that was
Kyle's a
like,
corpse.
yeah,
Kyle's a
there we
corpse.
go. Yeah. Kyle's a corpse. Kyle's a corpse. I can't sing and do British at the same. Too much. It's too
Kyle's
much
a
words.
corpse. Kyle's a corpse.
But now you're just going like really high.
Yeah, because I'm a little English boy. Little English boys have
But could
head
you be like
voices.
a little English man?
Uh-oh.
Oh, we're not waiting for her.
Okay, go for it.
Silent Saturn. As much as I usually delight in joining Zach's bloodlust for the infantile and as reluctant I am to vote for the eye candy, I cannot abide Brady's cheating on my girl Rachel.
Mm.
Off with his head, slow and painful. Tiona S. I'm definitely picking that jackass Kyle. Jamie's mommy's a mommy? Who raised him? In my
Yeah.
headcanon, he's Bucky's son, and now he knows Jamie's pain. Fuck him.
Ooh. Okay, so he'll suffer because he loses a parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. That's headcanon for me now. Okay, so who are you picking, Zach Cherry?
I can't even. I'm just gonna pick the one that annoys me the most, which
Okay.
is gonna be Spitz
Okay.
because of that fucking laughter. Yeah. And just like how unsexy
Ugh.
all of that, like it's just oh no,
It might have
no
been
thank you.
forgivable if he was hot, but this
I mean,
isn't a
he
knock
could
on
have
the
been.
actor,
No, no,
but
no,
yeah.
no. I think that he could have been. I think that there definitely was a way to make that character hot, and he could have been played by that guy. But the direction that they took was just like, no, this guy is just repulsive. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And he gets his most repulsive like right before the sex scene. That's the thing. Is because he's already kind
Yeah.
of like, oh, I don't know about the vibe on this guy when you see him at the, convenience store. But by the time we get to the Tower Farm, he
Mhm.
is intolerable.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense to me.
Tower Farm.
Okay, how do we discern the cops? Do they have names? I didn't even check.
They
Um,
do.
I'm looking right now. Deputy, that's Charlie. That's not one of them. Uh,
No, Charlie's the one at the
is it
end.
Nick Ross and Tom Farah?
Yes. So
Okay.
Ross is going to be the one with the dark hair. It's like the
Yes.
shorter one. Farah is like the taller one with the bigger
Lighter
build.
hair.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna choose Deputy Nick Ross, played by Frankie Cuomo, with the dark hair and the white set eyes, just because he's more memorable. I feel like people would see a photo and react to it, but
Yeah.
also because this is the thing, we didn't really cover this about the clown cops. Like, yes, they're annoying, but the thing is, I think the thing that's most annoying about them is that they're not even more annoying. Like, there are a minority of scenes with these characters in them in this movie, and yet in two scenes, I could only count two of them. Uh, there were the wah, like
Wah, 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 wah.
kind of, yeah, Zowie Powie kind of Hanna-Barbera
Yeah.
sound effects, like telling us this is supposed to be silly guys who are unreliable. It's when they're introduced, and then it's again later when the guy I'm choosing, I believe, Deputy Ross, says,
Mhm.
fortunately, we're lousy cops when they didn't fire on your guy Spitz for like playing that prank. And he says, fortunately, we're lousy cops. Wah! And the rest of the time, they're just kind of like walking around doing their job. Not well, but there's absolutely nothing funny about them. It's not even like there's anything unfunny about them. They're just not telling jokes. Like, I think the thing that seemed to be kind of like the most indication of a joke or a punchline was when they were introduced and they were saying, all in line of duty, man, something like that. Like, finding dogs, saving cats. Wah! And I was just like, that's not it. That's not funny.
When Rachel is like wearing that hideous robe,
Oh
like
yeah, that's
she's just like the
obviously her
big bad
neighbors.
wolf. Yeah.
She looks like the big bad wolf, but it's obviously like the,
Yeah.
the mother, the
Yeah.
maternal figure next
Yeah.
door. But anyway, so yeah, they don't really serve any purpose. They're not effective humor. They're not effective force figures of authority. They're not effective figures of sympathy. But somehow the wah of it all has made them memorable in the worst way. Yet I don't even think the hatred is that warranted because they're just not that interesting. And this is a case where we have a lot of interesting characters who I don't like in this movie, or
Mm,
who I go through the range of emotions, when I see them.
yeah.
With them, I don't go through anything. I just kind of wait for it to be over. So I actually kind of wish
Yeah.
they had been killed in their first scene, before their first scene, and then,
Yeah.
we would have gone a different direction. Rachel would have survived, she would
I
have escaped the
yeah.
danger and they would have walked into it dead. Movie goes on.
I love slash hate when their bodies are discovered
Right.
because it does this when like Tina's like, oh help me, or runs over.
Yeah.
There's some like terrible ADR in this movie we didn't even address.
Yeah.
But the starting with like the flashback to Halloween 4, which is like clearly not the dialogue that was used. Anyway, I digress. We get to the car, like we're in a wide shot or like a
Hmm.
mid shot, and Tina walks up, and we can see the cops dead inside,
Yeah.
and Tina should clearly be able to see them, but then there's another beat. She's like, "Oh, please help me," and she like leans in, and then we get the close up reveal, and it's like, come on. There's a few instances of that where, I think they could have done a little bit better, but
Right.
but I appreciate it for how bad it is.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that she can't see the wound until she opens the door while the window is down. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hilarious. But that's her. I know
Yeah.
there are going to be people who are going to be disappointed that neither of us picked Tina, but
Yeah.
I like watching her as irritating as she can be and as incongruous as the decisions are that she makes. I walk away with good memories of her, and I can't, unfortunately, I can't say the same for these cops. I'd fear
Mhm.
for them if they, I mean, I guess it'd be okay if they occupied a table together at like a convention, but I'd be worried about people saying hurtful things.
Anyway, you can
So,
vote
yeah.
for either uh, what are it, Spitz and or
Deputy Nick Ross
they're
is
not
his name.
detectives. They don't do anything
Yeah,
detective.
Deputy Nick Ross.
Yeah. And that could be voted for over on Patreon. If you head over there, the poll is free for the public, so you can actually follow as a free supporter. But while you're there, maybe consider hopping on over and throwing a little support. You can also vote on Instagram. Follow us at the Cherry Picker Pod, and also on YouTube. So if you are here watching us, make sure you subscribe. If you would rather listen to us, the RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below. Edward, where can they find you on social media?
You can't. How about you, Zach Cherry?
Main YouTube's channel is Zach Cherry, ZACK space CHERRY. Fuck, you threw me for a loop there. Instagram, retro bitch face. Letterboxed, retro bitch face. And Twitter, Zach Cherry 8. What do we got going on next week? It's the next chapter, right?
Yeah, Halloween
Okay.
6 or Halloween 666, the curse
The
of Michael
Cois.
Myers. And oh, well, oh, what was I going to say? Oh, and I'm watching both cuts to prepare. So I don't know if you are.
I guess I'll do that too.
Okay.
I thanks for giving me more homework. It's
Yeah.
it's we're here for the people though. We have to do
Yeah,
our
and the
homework.
fandom. I got my own fandom about
Yeah.
this movie.
All
See?
right. And we'll also give our ranking fully, minus the Rob Zombie ones, because we have not covered those on the podcast yet, but at least all of the non-Rob Zombie ones. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will be right back.